So I don't know how to say this, so I'll try. Bear with me if you have children in the room. Earmuffs. Okay. So the breaking story is that a Democrat staffer on a Senate hearing room floor filmed himself and another man, let's just say, enjoying each other's company quite a great deal. And there's video of it all over X. Everyone keeps posting the article because the video is out. And everyone's like, well, unsurprising that it's a Maryland Democrat Senate staffer who I will just to, so you understand, filmed he and another man enjoying each other's company quite a great deal on the Senate hearing floor. And that's the story we're leading with because it's Friday and we're ready to laugh. But I do think it matters because we're going to be talking a lot about January 6th and what's to come in 2024. And there are a lot of stories about how this is going to go down, considering they just arrested, or they're planning to arrest this journalist on Tuesday, Steve Baker. So it's going to get pretty interesting. And that, we do have Owen Shroyer joining us, who recently got out of prison over this stuff. So we will get into all that. But before we get started, my friends, I got big news. Head over to thebestsongever.com. Buy the song, click download, your own price. It's 69 cents, or you can give whatever you want. And when you do, you will get a promo code emailed to you. You must look in the file. There will be a unique code you can use to get 35% off any purchase or subscription at castbrew.com. So you're getting a deal. Look, 69 cents for the song, but you could end up saving 20, 30, 40 bucks. Hey, maybe you want to buy 100 bags of coffee, you end up saving yourself 35 bucks. Well, actually, that would be more than that. 100 bags of coffee? That's a lot of coffee. You're going to be saving yourself like hundreds of dollars. And if you subscribe with the code, you will retain that discount forever. Even if you end the subscription later and come back and restart, you will still get that 35% discount. Here's the thing. Buy the song because this is our team up with the Daily Wire. This is Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles' song. We made a modern version, and this it's a modern version. It's like synth pop. You'll recognize it. And the big news is we debuted at number 1, top of the charts. This morning I wake up and they're like, "Hey, you're number 1 on iTunes," and I'm like, "Okay, that's great." We need to sell, tens of thousands of these, and then continue to smash our way into the music industry and tell these bigwigs, fat cats, and gatekeepers they can't do anything about it. I want to let you guys in on. I want to tell you something. I've pitched this numerous times, saying, here's what happens with Jeremy Boring. They tell him 100 times the market rate to play a song one time was no good. We assume he offered $150,000 to play one song one time, and they told him no. So instead, he spends the money to make a spoof song basically as an FU. We team up with them doing a modern version for a similar reason, because when we put out our song, we got emails back from Entertainment Press saying, "Go F yourself." And I'm like, I'm very determined now to force our way into these charts so they have no choice but to write about it. But I want to tell you something else. Even though 3 of the 4 songs we've published have charted on Billboard, they go into my Wikipedia page and they remove the chart numbers to make it look like the songs are not successful. That's how dirty and driven these people are. So buy the song at thebestsongever.com and contribute your might to help us, me, Carter Banks, Jeremy Boring, and Michael Knowles, give that middle finger, and you'll get a discount. Smash the like button, subscribe to the show, become a member at timcast.com to support us directly. We're going to have an awesome show. As I mentioned, Owen Shroyer is joining us.
It's great to be here. A lot better position that I'm in right now than I was a week ago.
What's going on? Why?
Well, a week ago, I was in prison, federal prison.
Well, okay then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right on. And you want to just do a quick introduction?
Well, sure. I'm one of the most politically persecuted journalists in America. I don't think it's a stretch to say that. And I got out of prison last week for a speech crime. And the last time I was here on Timcast, we were discussing this before we went live, how basically my case was going to be used as a precedent-setting case to go after other journalists, and now they are going after other journalists. There's another one that's going to be turning himself in on Tuesday, and I suspect there's going to be a lot more in 2024. So my case is eventually likely to get to the Supreme Court, and hopefully we can have success there to stop this political persecution of journalists in Biden's America. And I'm sure we'll get into some of the details about my case and everything
definitely.
else. We'll get into that later. But I would just say that I'll lead with this. There's something that I can't get over now. It's like an itch that can't be scratched. And I'm not somebody that censors myself. I don't censor myself. I'm not afraid to speak my heart. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. But just coming on this show, just doing the interviews I've done this week, just hosting my show over at InfoWars, now every time I go on air and every time I speak, there's something in the back of my head. Am I going to go to jail for this? Am I going to get arrested for this? Am I going to be incarcerated and tortured and thrown into solitary for this? And that's what it's like to grow up in a communist country. That's what it's like to grow up in an oppressive regime. And this is what it's like in America now. And it breaks my heart that this is the country that future Americans might grow up in. That's the thought that has to linger in the back of their mind, like they're living in North Korea, that if they say something wrong, they have bad speak or a thought crime, they're going to be locked up. So hopefully we can stop this before it just gets totally out of control.
Right on, man. Should be fun. Eric July's back.
What's up, man? What's up? How you doing? I mean, I've done this is my third show today, man. I'm feeling.
I know,
good
right?
Too, right? Yeah. I'm feeling good though.
What do you do?
Man, obviously everything's been crazy with this whole Rippaverse thing, man. Blessed to be in the position that we're in with this company and being able to talk about it freely, man, and job opportunities we're creating. We talked a little bit about that this morning.
You launched a comic book universe.
Yeah, and it's again, we're on our $3 million campaign here,
Wow.
which is kind of insane. Again, I kind of still got to pinch myself every day, kind of realizing that this is a real thing, this is happening. But it shows there's a demand for it, man. But it does feel good to be back here. Hadn't had a chance, been busy. But, it feels
Yeah,
good
we
to be
had
back.
you over on the Culture War this morning.
Yeah.
But now we're going to talk news.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging out. Should be fun as well. And of course, Luke is here.
Hey guys, my name's Luke Radowski of youtube.com/wearechange, and we are bringing back Thug Life with, of course, the Tupac Machiavellian Illuminati t-shirt that I'm wearing right now that you could get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. We probably all will be in the gulag, but we're all going to be together. If you want to support me, the best way to do that, thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Also, the best way to do some holiday shopping, because you do. That's why I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm Ian Crossland, blasting through your consciousness to say hello to you through the interwebs. And I wanted to clarify, anyone that's buying the song, The Best Song Ever, in order to get the coffee code, I believe you have to buy it from thebestsongever.com.
Yes.
Some people went to like Amazon Music or iTunes. They're like, where's the code? You got to buy it from thebestsongever.com if you want to get that 35% off your coffee. So do it there, bestsongever.com.
Right. Yeah, so that's why I said go to thebestsongever.com. You buy it there. You buy it with the download button right there. Because that's how you get it. And then what happens when you buy the song, you get the song and you get a folder that has a file with the code in it.
So get it.
And the code is good for 2 weeks, and it's good on anything and everything. And you can subscribe to a coffee purchase. Let's say you do 1 bag per month. You're like, I'm going to subscribe to this coffee for one time. You get the discount forever.
And when you put that song on, just take a sip of that coffee and realize how it's all connected.
Right on. Serge is here.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Excited for the Friday show. Let's get to it. It's kind of crazy. So
here we are. This is the news. And Senate staffer caught filming gay sex tape in Senate hearing room graphic. The image is blurred heavily.
Thank God.
But it's not blurred all
The
over.
whole image, not just like, the whole image is blurred.
God.
Yeah.
Not just the, not quite blurred enough.
So they know who this guy is now. His name is flying all over the place. There's
That wasn't everything flying all over the place.
dude. The Daily Caller posted the video of it. Like it's
That's hard.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere,
sadly, on
dude.
social media.
What was this guy?
this guy needs to get like, I don't know, man, 20 years. Like we're talking about they want to lock up Enrique Tarrio. He wasn't even in DC on January 6th. And I'm like, this is a guy who probably broke so many laws. He's got to get locked up. It's not just him. It's 2 guys. And they're enjoying each other's company quite a great deal, if you know what I'm saying. I'm filming it in the Senate hearing room.
I'm not like bullish on lawfare and warfare through law, but like at some point you got to make a precedent. Don't do this kind of thing on the Senate hearing floor.
Guys, when I said 2024 was going to be crazy, I did not see this one coming. I thought it was going to be like a journalist gets woken up at 6 a.m. and
Did
they like
not see this one coming. You're just asking. You just got puns left and right tonight, man.
Did they set up a camera and then like go get in the middle of the room and get it on?
no,
or
some
something?
like one of the guys I guess has everybody's getting mad at me because I'm on X and I'm like, is the guy you're naming the dude being filmed or the dude doing the deed.
Tim really cares about the details here. I just want to point that out here.
And I do care. So I did watch the video. I absolutely
on slow motion.
How you feeling?
Rewind.
Trying to figure out
back and forth.
And not that much, Luke. You can calm down. I don't know what you were watching, but listen, I've seen videos of people brutally murdered. I have watched people die in front of me. And that's probably hyperbolic. I've watched people die a great distance away from me from a height. I don't want to make it seem like I was standing in front of a guy who died. I've been shot at. So when this news breaks that a Democrat staffer, there's two guys and they're going at it. And then I see a bunch of people saying, this is the guy. I'm like, hold on. They said this guy filmed himself doing this thing. And I'm like, how do you know that's actually him?
It was an older guy too, right?
No, it's a young guy.
It was a younger guy?
It's a young guy. So here's the issue. So I half jokingly tweeted, but have seriously, I'm not going to say exactly what I said because it was graphic, but I responded to Greg. Was it Greg Price, I think? He said, here's the guy who did it. I said, is he the guy who's getting or the guy giving? And everyone's like, haha, I'm like, no, this matters because the dude doing the deed is wearing some kind of like head-mounted camera, so you can't see his face. And the issue is, if they've gotten information through other means outside of the video that the guy filming, which they said this guy filmed himself doing it, that's implying the guy whose face you can't see is doing it, and the guy whose face you can't see is not him. That means there's another unidentified guy. And I'm like, the last thing I'm going to do is call a guy out on a show like this as having enjoyed another man's company in a public building, unless I know for sure that's the case.
But wait a second. So there's a couple interesting facts that you just laid out. So this person had a head-mounted camera deal?
I think that's what it was.
So on a GoPro. GoPro.
So I mean, likely not the first time this individual has done it. Maybe in the building. Yep. But you have to have a special pass to get access to that part of the building too. So it had to be another staffer of somebody.
Well, they could let him in.
A lot of people on social media are saying that this was the real insurrection that has happened.
I tweeted insurrection.
Insurrection's trending, I think, right now. Also,
Schumer saying erection inside of the erection is trending as well.
I'm guessing these are not the first two men to insert in the exit hole in any of the Capitol buildings, but they might be the first to film it.
Probably not even.
At least the first.
And if you're filming it, you kind of want to get caught, right?
No, look. So I guess they were sharing it on various websites, like Ha Ha Ha, and it's kind of insane. Look, guys, can I just jump the shark right now and say Civil War? Just because I'm like, if we're at the point where staffers of the Senate care so little about this country, they treat our government buildings like porn sets. I just don't see anyone having enough confidence in this government to maintain it.
I don't think that necessarily sexual debauchery is enough to claim conflict, but because I was actually talking to Ashley St. Clair about it yesterday. She used to work down there, and she's like, it's just nonstop like debauchery.
But you know what? I think that your philosophical angle is right here, Tim. What it shows is the lack of respect, the lack of concern, the lack of care, the overall clown show that it really is. There's no reverence. Right? I mean, it's the same thing with Jill Biden's Christmas video. There's no class. There's no reverence. It's just a clown show. It's just, let's just clown show this up. We don't care about the country. We don't respect the country. We don't revere the country. We don't revere these buildings. I typically would kind of stand where you are, Ian. And in fact, I would say even after my prison sentence, I'm even more for prison reform and justice reform. Empty the prisons at this point. But I understand where you're going philosophically. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if with the aftermath of this, we don't start to see more videos start to surface.
Yeah.
I have a different take. I kind of don't care with these guys screwing each other because the government screws us every single day, right? Seriously, you look at the surveillance, secret FBI, FISA bills that they just passed. You look at the NDAA. You look at the funding that they're probably going to be giving Israel and Ukraine very soon, as of course the average American is being fleeced and destroyed financially. I don't care what these two dudes did. This is not a place to be respected. This is a place that has been hijacked by sociopathic corporatists and globalists that are using it as a machine to screw over their American people. And you're the one getting a family-friendly show here.
Yes, but that stuff's been going on. And the only reason these two guys are willing to do this is because they don't take our government seriously. Why? For every reason you just explained. these guys are like, oh, this government's a joke. They rip people off. They blow kids up. Nobody takes it seriously. Then they go off onto a Senate hearing floor and they...
No, they've just made a meme. You've just made a meme. Put the guy who's facing away and you put the American taxpayer and then the person doing the...
Come on, Joe Biden.
Right now.
My team. You're watching. Get on it.
Get on it. That's it, though. But that really is...
Making a T-shirt on thebestpoliticalshows.com.
That is that is a much more offensive thing. That is a much more offensive thing. Oh, you don't want FISA? Oh, you don't want funding for Ukraine? Well, we'll just go ahead and slip it into the NDAA and you're going to get it anyway.
I got to be honest. It's actually the most disgusting meme gift ever in that in a government building, Democrat staffers did this because now you can put any group. You can put FBI on the guy and the J6ers on the other guy.
There's a reason there's a sex position called the taxpayer, okay? All right? They were utilizing it.
You've just hit the infinity meme stone.
Seriously, the shirt's coming soon.
Meme-finity stone.
Yeah, you could put Joe Biden on one guy and U.S. economy on the other guy.
Oh, yeah. We're on it.
Don't post that shit on my timeline.
Here we go.
It's everywhere.
Here we go.
Please, man, because
make sure you tweet this at Eric July.
No,
now.
no, but I will.
You just set the wolves.
I know, right? Yeah,
man, it's gonna be
probably
crazy.
said the wrong thing. Now everybody's gonna go out of their way. I just set myself up on. No, but on a serious note, no, I think it's more so representative of like the institution, right? Like even when this whole J6 thing happened, you know, I don't pretend like the Congress isn't like a band full of criminals, and I get it. You know, we have this idealistic way of looking at government, and it's supposed to they're sacred, and their buildings are something that is supposed to be cherished and respected. But I don't see them that way. You know, I haven't seen them that way for a very long time. But I think this is more, to your point, representative of the fact that it absolutely is a clown show. But I think people seeing it that way and taking it for what it actually is, I don't necessarily see that as a negative thing. I do believe that more people should look at the Senate or the House and Congress just in general with more contempt when you really truly understand the type of things it is that they are absolutely doing. So they 100% are a band full of criminals, which is why I'm not at all tripping off of
so
off of that.
Is it like,
and
is
just
it kind
really
of
quick,
a good thing that people will see this then?
That's the way that I see it. I mean, if you look at it and you're like, look, this is a joke. This is a joke of an institution. It is. I would agree with you. It absolutely 100% is a joke of an institution. It's a place where people try to weaponize things, and the power it is that they have against their political enemies. It's not anything to be taken seriously like that at all. So yeah, while to your point, it's probably all sorts of weird stuff that does happen there day to day that we don't ever see. It probably is a bunch of debauchery and degeneracy in there anyway.
So first point, it was that Eric D. July, correct?
Yes.
Got it. Second point
Clarify.
I just wanted to clarify for the record. Second point I wanted to make here. This is nothing new. Look at what they do at the Bohemian Grove. There's literal secret societies. There's literally a Brina Abramovich. There's literal parties and secret things that they do that we can't even mention here on this family-friendly broadcast. There's an island that they bring children to. So for me, Hunter Biden and this latest revelation is the least offensive thing that is happening in Washington, D.C.
What's worse, Jeffrey Toobin or these guys?
I mean, Toobin, Toobin has the meme magic with his name already in there, but I don't think you can even compare. The Epstein story, way bigger of a real issue that I think we should be outraged about. We should be showing videos of Bill Clinton getting on the Lolita Express. We should be showing Bill Gates and all these other individuals connected going to that private island. Yeah, that should be the big controversy.
Everyone in this room has done more jail time than any of Epstein's clients.
Exactly.
Wow, that's actually pretty crazy. Wait, hold on. Ian, have you ever been in jail?
Negative.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Eric, have you ever been? Obviously, you were just there.
Yeah.
I was kind of making the joke like I was probably the only one, but it would still equate to it.
They got
the longest I've been in jail was
Attaboy.
was 14 hours or something. Luke, I know for sure. And then, Eric, so I think Ian's the only one here.
The gruesomely straight edge character.
Say Joe Biden lost the 2020 election.
Did he?
Just say it. We'll get you.
You're giving me a free pass.
Yeah, you can come. I'm saying you can join us. You can join us on the other side.
It's a rite of passage, Ian. It's a rite of passage.
Say Donald Trump won in 2020, and they're going to come get you. I mean, they know where you live, Tim. We know that.
I just went because they locked me up for skateboarding for overnight. Luke, I remember that. Where you were in Europe or something?
There was like
right?
8 times.
Yeah, you used it all the
7.
time.
Excuse me, 7 times.
haven't
But it
gone
was
that
all.
many damn
It was all
times.
like it was all regarding my journalism.
I like grew up really straight edge, like follow the rules, follow order. Like my dad was in the fire department.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because-
my dad was in the fire department too.
And then but later I started to learn like the appreciation of like if evil laws are passed, like what the Nazis did, you kind of like Thomas Jefferson would say, you kind of have a right to like ignore those laws, or like if a government becomes evil, you're supposed to be like, well, okay, law isn't everything. You
Actually,
need
the
good.
Constitution, if you read the Constitution, it says if the lawmakers get out of control, you actually have a duty to get them out of government. It's actually a duty in the Constitution, if our government becomes corrupted, that we have to do something about it.
But Ian, I've never been convicted of anything, but I got arrested while I was skateboarding. They gave me some bogus charge, and then I spent half a day in jail. You've never had anything where you're, wow, look at that.
So not even detained, back of a cop
No
car.
handcuffs.
Oh yeah,
ever?
one time my buddy had a joint in the car and he was driving, and the cops pulled us over like
More than Epstein's clients.
a block away
You're
from
in the
my
cloud.
house.
He's in it. Yeah, he's in it.
But we got out of the car. We were only a block away from house. Like, where do you live? I was like, right there. And they're like, okay, get out of here. I was just sleeping in the back seat. So.
Okay, let me to clarify. The extent of Ian's incarceration is a car and a friend with his car, a friend who was driving a car he was in was stopped briefly and he was let go, and that is more time served than any of Epstein's clients.
Hypothetically, yeah.
No, literally.
There's no way to know. Like some of those clients might have been dirty criminals, and we wouldn't know.
But for being, let's say this, it's more than any of them have served for the crime of being a client of Epstein.
Yes, because that
Like-
would be zero. As far
Right,
as we
because
know.
yeah, exactly. Because maybe like one of the clients beat a woman and got arrested later on. Like I'm not saying that.
You know what this story made me think of when the two dudes getting it on in the Senate is like the power that one guy has to totally transform the public conversation now. Like one guy with a video camera can like
Bang
20 or
another
30
guy and then everyone's
and that's
talking
it.
about it.
Like 30 years ago, you had to go through NBC News. Like these videos couldn't even get out anywhere unless someone at a news organization was like, well, yes
this,
or no.
this guy would go to NBC and say, please air this tape on your show. They'd be like, no, we're not
And
doing
then they'd
it.
have to have Polaroids. They'd go, or maybe they had a big handy cam that wouldn't fit on the guy's head, so they'd have to have a third guy taking the video.
So wait, are you saying that Joe Biden put him up to this to get all the negative press about Joe Biden out of the media?
Wow, that's an interesting concept. Like to kind of be like, hey, what Hunter is doing? Well, there's other people that also do this.
No, it's not just that. I got to be honest. If it came out, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm saying if the news came out that this guy was put up to it, I'd believe it. I'd be like, oh wow. Like they're like, oh, the Democratic administration knew a ton of press was coming up Hunter Biden. He divided a subpoena. Joe Biden was defending him, and all these hookers, $800,000 now. I think the number is in prostitutes. Let's get a guy
That's
out
a
there.
lot of hookers.
It's crazy, right?
Well, one really lucky one.
I just saw the headline. It was or one really.
Well, we
lucky
know it's
one.
more than one. So.
Hey, prostitutes are a big part of Washington, D.C. There's a New York Post story detailing how they're shipped into the Bohemian Grove, male prostitutes specifically. And there's also a very famous story from the Bush years where George W. Bush got caught sneaking in a gay porn star into the White House. That was another major saga and scandal that kind of got swept under the rug. So this is now what we're seeing finally happening, but happens all the time. It's only outrageous because we have video of it.
I think late stage empire, Roman Empire, they said part of a late stage empire is sexual debauchery.
Yeah.
Takes
Oh
over.
yeah. Yep.
Did this video break because of Twitter or X?
I think the Daily
think
Caller broke it.
The Daily Caller
Okay.
got the exclusive, but all of a sudden, everyone's X timeline is just flooded.
Because that's where I saw it on
Man,
X.
it's just
You can
gay
see it.
everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's all, man,
the
it's
videos
And it
everywhere.
was not censored when it came across my
It's
timeline.
bad,
either.
man. I'm like trying to avoid it. I'm weaving through it, man. When I'm on. It's
like
No,
Mike
now it's
Tyson.
You're making it-
overload. Now it's
I
overload.
already know, man. I'm not even going to bother to try to look at my timeline now because I know it's going to be
But see,
extremely
but that's
gay.
why Twitter or
No,
X is so important, though. Not so you can watch this debauchery, but maybe this is the kind of stuff they can censor and hide for the people they want to protect.
Yep.
But thank goodness Elon Musk is at least allowing, I would say, 95% free speech on his platform.
Yeah, I err on the side of allowing it, although it can like wreck your
don't.
brain to see it. You think it should have
There's-
been censored or at least
okay.
blacked out in like a black box, like click here if you want to see it.
Like
kind
a
of
sen- sensitive
I'm
content
pretty
warning
sure
type thing?
they'll do that.
Please.
I'm pretty sure they're going to do that because it just takes time for the algorithm to kick in and then catch this stuff. But my position has been if Elon Musk allows 13-year-olds on the platform, then all porn must be banned.
Oh, I agree. Porn should not be on X. It's everywhere.
Even
though.
this, even newsworthy videos of like this should not be allowed if there are young. It should be I mean, YouTube does this, and sometimes they get it wrong, and that sucks, but I respect it. They will age lock a video. And then people complain, being like, why is my video being age restricted? Oh, it's not fair. And sometimes it's not fair. But the challenge is, how do you allow people to upload whatever they want while preventing people from uploading things that are illegal? So what YouTube does with the age restriction stuff is, if someone posts this video of these staffers on YouTube, yeah, it should be age restricted. Now, here's the problem. Kids just lie. They just sign up and claim to be 18. We should not allow people to give these materials to kids. I'm sorry. It's just like, you couldn't do it on TV. I don't understand how it became normal to be like, we were talking to, I think I was talking to Stephen Marsh, the guy who wrote the Civil War book, and he's like, oh, these kids can get it on the internet, so who cares? Just let them get these books in school anyway. And I'm like, they should not get it on the internet either.
Yeah, that's
but the mentality of many liberals is, because of the internet, we should just give kids these books. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I had a friend that would be like, if you're going to be late, dude, who cares? Just be as late as you're already late. Just be an hour late. I'm like, that's not how it works, dude. If I'm 5 minutes late, that's way less worse than being an hour late. It's same with porn on the internet, like as little as possible.
And I feel like that's like the bottom of the hill argument. Like, oh, they're going to find it anyway, so let's put it in the classroom. Like, what? Oh, you're going to die anyway, so I'm just going to stab you now. It's just like, it doesn't even make any sense. But don't you think, I do think Twitter should do everything, because YouTube, I don't think you can find any adult or pornographic content on YouTube.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah,
you can.
You can?
It gets
so
worse.
It's not that good either?
There's a very similar video to the congressional video that's going viral right now on social media that's up on YouTube, that YouTube is standing behind, and argued that it is, what was it, artistic work, but it's family-friendly show here.
I thought that was the Twitch platform.
It was a dude guessing what's being...
there's ways around that.
Yeah, no,
I would say they have to.
How do I even describe this? I don't want to get the show in trouble.
With your eyes, just look at the camera and they'll know.
See, I like that. I think that's a fair argument. I forget who it might have even come across in a courtroom. Is they were debating, what's pornography or what's like artistic content, and someone said, when I see it, I know.
The judge said you know it when you see it.
Yeah, and I think, it's a little open-ended, but I would say if the same effort they put into Twitter banning conservatives or banning Alex Jones or myself or others, if they put that same effort into stopping the pornographic content, I would think they could at least limit it.
I had on Wednesday, they use AI now, and I interviewed Dickie Barrett. The video got demonetized, right?
His
I was like, what? We didn't even say it because his name was Dickie.
Of course it is.
And so
Mighty Boston's guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I went to the monetization. I was like, well, I request a human review, and they immediately overturned it. They were like, yeah, it's fine. But the word Dickie caught the AI's attention because we're.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little heavy-handed, but it's better than, I guess, no moderation.
Well, so like the issue is when they use it for political censorship, not cool. But if someone's trying to put up videos of these staffers, doing a deed, we don't want kids finding that stuff. So there's got to be some way to deal with this. I'm sorry. I don't know. And there's a lot of people, the more libertarians don't like it. They're like, oh, Tim's for censorship and this is going to lead to a whole bunch of problems. I'm like, bro, I don't believe that because a technology got invented, we all of a sudden throw out the rules where we're like, kids aren't allowed to you can't solicit adult materials to children. Like, you can't do it. Just because the internet got invented doesn't mean you can do it now.
So how do you find the balance? Because when I was watching, when the video popped up on my timeline, you can't really see much. If you're an adult, you know what you're looking at. And I obviously wouldn't like that to
you can see everything.
I wouldn't want my kids to see. Well, see, I must not have seen the whole video. I didn't watch it. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay.
Dude,
I don't know what
that is. The dude filming is like looking around and like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't go that deep into it. No pun intended. No pun intended.
I watched it for the people.
You took one for the team,
so that I could report back.
But
and
it is newsworthy, though. That's the thing. Like, that is a news story, and you were doing. You're doing show prep.
I got to be honest, man. Like, I've watched videos of people being shot and murdered and killed. I watched a video of a guy getting struck by lightning twice. Phil Labonte posted that. I've watched videos of people being hit by trains. Like, if I'm gonna try and understand what's going on and there's a news story and it's relevant, I'm watching the video.
But did you watch it on Twitter?
The video?
Yeah,
I think I watched it on the Daily Caller.
Okay, because I'm saying, how are you going to watch it? That's tough because I feel like. Maybe you kind of just let it go for a little period of time just so people can see it. And then you say, okay, we got to make sure this doesn't go up because it is a newsworthy story. And people want to know that this is what your people in government are doing.
Yeah, but I see what your point. Like, if it happens again tomorrow, is that one newsworthy too? Do we need to look at that one as well? And then the day after, are we supposed to look at that one too? And like, what are we looking at now?
People are making tons of memes of this video.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think the answer that what they're looking at is AI. They're going to use artificial intelligence to try and preempt it and censor it before it gets out. But the problem with that is, like, then are elbows too sexual? Like, where does the line get drawn? Is with whoever's in power writing the code of the AI. Is someone showing someone neck skin? Is that too sexual? Cleavage, a round butt with pants on, like
Cankles?
Yeah, exactly. How low
Is that
will
what
you
does
go?
it for you?
Well, I think one of the issues is that when it comes to this level of censorship, the issue is always if X is allowed, then Y must be allowed too. Instead of if X is allowed, have we considered it should not be? For example, like right now, there's this big thing where people will they'll print out male nipples. Women will print out a picture of male nipples and then stick them to their nipples and then post a topless photo and be like, male nipples are allowed on Instagram, but females aren't. So we're just showing male nipples. And you can't really tell them. They're like, aha. The argument they're making is, well, then it should be allowed for all women to go completely topless on social media instead of being like, okay, dudes got to wear shirts too.
See, but now we're getting into this level of we're just not behaving like adults, right? I mean, there needs to be some level of an adult conversation here. It's like, yeah, we know what you're doing. That's funny. You're not going to do it. Not like, right. Oh, I found the loophole. Give me a break.
What do you guys think about the Free the Nipple campaign? Are you familiar with it?
Is that when the ladies run around naked and everything?
Basically topless in New York City. And because it used to be the guys had to wear shirts in public until like the 1920s.
Guys got to wear shirts.
They had to get the right legally to be able to go topless in public. And now it's totally normalized.
Instead of saying women should be able to be topless too, how about we go, see, this is what I'm talking about. Women are saying men can not wear shirts, therefore women should be allowed to do it as well. How about we do the inverse and say women aren't allowed to wear shirts, aren't allowed to be topless, then men shouldn't be allowed either. Why not say, no, okay, everybody got to wear a shirt, nobody topless anymore? How come it always goes in the one direction of closer and closer to debauchery?
Well, I think it's obvious why women can't walk around topless and men can. I mean,
yeah, there'll be car accidents.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. See, but that's what this is like. We're all adults.
I wouldn't be able to get anything done.
We're all adults here. We know why women and the mammary gland is a little more distracting than the male chesticles, and so I don't think this is just. But it gets into petty stuff. It's like, oh well, if the man can do it, then why can't the woman? You know why the woman can't. It's a different body. It's a different body part. It's a different sexual arousal.
Yeah, we're more than just brains. Humans are more than just brains. We can't just logic our way through everything.
But in most states, it is legal for women to be topless.
I mean, I would say as a very heterosexual man, the concept of women walking around topless sounds great, but then you see these monsters, you see these whales that are engaging in the Free the Nipple campaign. Shut it down.
So what happens in New York is...
yes, I'm discriminating. Yes.
There are morbidly obese women who do it, and police officers are like, ma'am, you need to cover up. And they go, no, I don't. And then when they get cited or charged, the women sue the city and instantly win.
Really?
Yeah.
They win?
Mm-hmm. Of course, of course. It is sex-based discrimination to say that women can't be topless if a man can. And so my argument is, no. It's real simple. Just tell the guys they got to wear shirts too.
But also
problem solved.
Bikini bottoms, like those really, really like G-string bathing suit bottoms. Like it doesn't, you don't have to
Brazilian bikini.
It leaves nothing to the imagination. It's just like they're basically walking around naked.
But because there's a piece of thread in the butt.
Oh, dude, it's not even that. Now now they have these like pieces of plastic that are moldable that women just click, like, you know what I mean? There's not even straps. And it's just like, okay, we get it. The future is going to be people put duct tape on their junk. And that's it. And then, I guess duct tape on it.
Nudity is different than sex. That's for sure. Like nudity is a very different thing than sexual.
Let's flip back over to the government is corrupt part instead of the debauchery part, because we have this story from the Daily Mail. Rudy Giuliani has to pay Georgia election workers $148 million for accusing them of helping steal the 2020 race. America's mayor faces financial ruin over huge damages in defamation case. Like, how is $148 million reasonable? They're saying it's 75 in punitive damages, 20 each for emotional distress, 16 for Freeman, 17 for Moss for damage to their reputations. You kidding me? Man, I get defamed every single day, and I can't get a single penny out of these.
You ever
people.
heard of any of these people, by the way? Of course not. You know, this is sadly how this goes, and Giuliani's not going to be the last person. And I talked to some of Trump's lawyers about this, too, because people, they don't seem to understand the true nature of the political world that we exist in until they reach certain levels, right? And so when they came after InfoWars for censorship, and I mean, what was the number they hit Alex with? Like, oh, we're suing Alex for $3 trillion.
Yeah, it was the
ridiculous.
GDP of France.
Yeah.
1.6 billion or something?
No.
That's
more than that.
They wanted the GDP of France.
It was $1 trillion, and they had some formula that they worked this up. But my point is this, and I told
it was $3 trillion.
I told some of this to Trump's lawyers because they don't seem to get it. And they're like, oh, well, this is great that we get to go to court now because now we're going to get to show the evidence and prove our case. No, you're not. The judge is going to shut you down, not let you show any evidence, and just rule against you. And they say, well, that's not how the legal system works. Okay, fine. Find out the hard way for yourself. And now Trump's lawyers are finding that. They think we're going to present all this evidence to the court. And now they're like, nope, you can't present any of that evidence.
Yeah,
they say, what the heck?
$3 trillion were the penalties that Jones was facing. That is more than the GDP of France.
So my point is that it's rare air, or it used to be rare air for you to get these rulings and these court cases against you. It's going to become ever more present now, just like with censorship. They test it on one person and then they go after everybody else. Rudy Giuliani will not be the last person that gets $100 million judgments against him. Other Trump attorneys will get it. Other Trump associates will get it. And they're just never going to stop. The justice system is completely out of control. I don't think people have they haven't grasped just how corrupted and out of control it is. And unfortunately, it's going to have to hit them, just like with Trump's lawyers. Oh, we'll present the evidence.
And it will.
And it will.
It absolutely will. Because I've been saying this for a long time. There are so many people who think if I just turn my lights off and hide under the covers, the angry mob that's going door to door smashing everything will skip over my house. No, it won't. So here's a guy sitting in front of me, Owen, who yelled some things on a bullhorn. And they literally use that in sentencing documents. The speech you made.
Well, tell them my dirty speech, Tim. Tell them my dirty speech.
Well, it was not just what you said on the grounds. It was what you said later on your show,
and before too.
And before that had nothing to do with what happened that day. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had a permit for the protest.
Yeah, we
had a permitted rally.
We had a stage that was back behind. I think it was on the northeast side of the Capitol. We had a stage set up. We were going to be speaking. I was one of the speakers. There were other big speakers that were going to be a part of that. And we were going from the ellipsis from Trump's speech to our speaking stage. That was our route. And when we saw all the chaos at the Capitol, we said, hey, we got to stop this. So we got on horns to try to stop it. That's all on video. We talked to the Capitol Police and said, hey, what can we do? We want to work with you to try to stop this. That's all on video as well. The government even acknowledges this in their sentencing memo against me, that I didn't go in and that I did try to stop it and I did say we were there to be peaceful. But the higher up said, no, you're still going to make an example out of Shroyer. But, I think we can get into my personal case, Tim, if we want. But here's the larger picture that needs to be understood. And this goes beyond just the realm of the political world. There is no incentive for justice in our justice system whatsoever. The incentive from the U.S. attorneys and the prosecuting attorneys is convictions. That's their incentive. They overcharge you drastically, hoping or assuming they're going to get a plea out of you, which most of the time they do. So they keep their conviction rates high, 98, 99, 100%. So they think they can get a better job, climb the ladder. Their incentive is convictions, not justice. Then you have the bench, the judge. Their incentive is imprisonment. Got to fill the prisons. Got to prove you're going to put the bad guys away. Justice never comes into the frame here. Justice is never even entering into the conversation. And let me tell you, from somebody who's been there, there's three tables here. There's the judge's bench, there's the prosecuting attorney, and then there's you. And until you've sat in that corner and you've witnessed this be done to you, and you've sat there and watched a judge and a prosecuting attorney sit there and never even consider justice, the feeling of loneliness and isolation when you realize there is no justice here. Justice was never the concern. The concern from the attorneys was conviction, and the concern from the judge was imprisonment. You never had a shot. There is no justice in the justice system anymore. I don't know what can be done about this. I mean, something has to change.
The first thing we need to consider is Donald Trump being elected next year, and then we'll see how things go.
When did things change in the justice system? Are you guys familiar with
change?
Like when did it become
it's
less
been pretty corrupt for a very long time?
It's been like that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think
probably our whole lives.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's been what it is. I think it's just more blatant in that, look, the left plays to win. I make this point all the time, and this is, I think, why they're able to get the dubs it is that they're able to get, because they rely upon the people on the other side, even if it's like whether they're center or the right or whatever it is that you want to call them. where you still kind of have some sort of belief, there's some sanctity in sort of these institutions, whether it be from the police officers on up to the prosecutions. Like, this is the way we do things, and at the end of the day, morals will prevail, justice will prevail, and that's just not. That is, to be fair, has never been the reality. Obviously, you being in the situation it is that you've seen it sort of firsthand. It's like, nobody's coming to save me, and all of these guys are against me. Like, the system is literally rigged against you, and especially when you're dealing with immoral people that have absolutely no problem with weaponizing that institution against you.
It's a soulless thing. It's like they're soulless.
It's a very difficult enemy to fight. I always use this analogy. People that watch me know I use this all the time. It's like you're going into a boxing ring, right? And you're entering it in, and that the person on the opposite side of you that you're supposed to be fighting 1v1 has already told you, look, my gloves are loaded. I bought off the judges, I bought off the ref, and I'm about to cheat. And what the instinct of the non-leftist is to still go into it with fairness, because we look at it like, well, this is how we're supposed to act. We don't want to be like the enemy. The problem is that the enemy has no problem kicking you in the midsection. They have no issues with doing that. So that's a harsh reality that we all kind of have to face. But I think once more people realize that, we can actually start to come up with some sort of solution and some sort of plan of attack. But people need to realize that this is how the justice system is aligned. This is the way that it is sort of rigged against you from the prosecution on up and on down. It's not there to serve justice. It's not there to sort of reach some sort of conclusion that is supposed to be the just one. That's not the way that it is designed.
Well, this is why I think Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign is actually the most important campaign right now, even more so than Donald Trump's, because the right wing has always had this weird, and it kind of deals with, they want to support law enforcement, but supporting law enforcement or police and wanting justice, reform, justice system reform, and prison reform need to be two completely separate issues. They need to be two completely separate issues, and conservatives need to get this. And that's why Vivek Ramaswamy really going hard against the federal establishment is so important, because this is a winning issue. And what conservatives need to realize is that justice reform is a winning issue. You will win. I mean, I don't want to get too politically wonky here, but it's an issue that they've let the left dominate. They've let the Democrats dominate for so long, and it's time for them to get in there. And Vivek, I think, presents it really well. And I mean, I still suspect Donald Trump gets the nomination. If he wins, I hope he makes Vivek in charge of some special committee or something to just completely abolish like 95% of these federal institutions that are so corrupted. Conservatives and Republican politicians need to stop being afraid of their own shadow. You're the side of law enforcement. That's fine. But justice reform and prison reform are completely separate issues, and it's a winning issue. You will win a lot of votes if you can properly verbalize and vocalize how you will attack these issues, I think, like Vivek Ramaswamy has done.
What kind of prison reform do you suggest?
Well, I'll put it to you like this, because it's very complex, and I could go on forever based off what I've learned from the top to the bottom here, but I'll try to put it simply. When I was in prison, the Bureau of Prisons had a hearing in front of Congress where my name got brought up by Matt Gaetz, thank goodness, and they were asking for $2 billion. So they want $2 billion more because they have staff problems and they have infrastructure problems, and believe me, they do. I'm showering in showers that have black mold in them. I'm dealing with staff in the prisons that, I mean, they lost like $2,000 worth of my property. I mean, I can go on and on and on. So the issues are real, but we all know if they put $2 billion more into the Bureau of Prisons, do you think that's going to improve a damn thing? Nope. No, it's not going to improve a damn thing. So what needs to be done, if they need $2 billion more annually, what they need to do is a little math, find out how many prisoners annually equals to $2 billion, and release them all tomorrow. Release every single one of them all tomorrow. There should not be a single non-violent criminal in prison. That's our problem here. And maybe that's kind of the springboard for the political argument. If any Republican has the courage to do it like Vivek, the springboard needs to be no non-violent criminals belong in jail. I mean, really what you have here. Sure, you can have house arrest. You can have the ankle monitor. I mean, I would say it like this, because people always ask, well, what is it like in there? What is it like in there? We'll do a little Kamala Harris Venn diagram. I would say take a Venn diagram, 3 circles. You've got a daycare center right here. you've got an old folks home right here, and then you've got a concentration camp right here, and then all the things that they have in similar. Boom, that's what the federal system is like. Most nights there, it's just a bunch of old men watching TV. I mean, that's it. That's it. They're just sitting around watching TV. A lot of these guys have kids, they're fathers, and they're never going to see their kids again. And they're just sitting around watching TV, wasting their time away. They could be doing that. So it's really a dramatic issue that until you've seen it firsthand, it's really hard to understand. But I've seen it firsthand. $2 billion worth of prisoners. Release them from the jail tomorrow. There's your $2 billion that you need.
We have more prisoners here than we do in China and Russia. It's also important to know that what you were talking
I don't know if China's numbers are really
documented. Good point. They also disappear, and they're never found again.
But
and then there's a lot of organ.
Right.
There's a lot of organs also found there that are readily available. But that's a different story. But good point. I definitely agree with you. But you brought up a kind of an anarchistic libertarian perspective. No victim, no crime. A lot of people on the right are saying we got to back the blue no matter what. We got to back the police officers. The police officers are saying, I don't care what laws they're going to make up. I'm going to enforce them to the fullest extent that I can, happily. And we've seen a huge transition from actual criminals going to jail to now political thought criminals going to jail, which is absolutely crazy. It needs to be addressed in a way, because you kind of described it as soulless. There is a lot of soullessness. There is a lot of people who are just like, I'm just doing my job. There are a lot of Kamala Harrises that believe that they have to make their way up, have to, of course, make their career by putting innocent people behind bars, which she did extensively, especially when it came to things like marijuana, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous. So yeah, I agree with you on those larger kind of libertarian sentiments. I think they would help galvanize the base, and I think the people who are rooting for Back the Blue are essentially rooting for their own enslavement and imprisonment.
And maybe the selling point to conservatives or Republicans that are too afraid to do that, say, well, I'll tell you what, if you don't have criminal justice reform or prison reform, well, then you're going to end up in prison very soon. So
there's a difference between victimless crime and nonviolent crime, like financial crimes, like what Sam Bankman-Fried is allegedly done, or maybe he's been convicted of it. So, like, do you also encourage, like you said, nonviolent, like high-level financial criminals? Do you think they should be let out too?
Is there a victim?
So nothing is.
There would be, in that case.
Yeah,
there's a victim.
But maybe
no. Hold on. I believe the purpose of prison, for the most part, is to take someone who is dangerous and make sure they can't hurt people. So for SBF, the real penalty should be house arrest with restrictions, meaning you can't do financial work. You can't trade on these platforms. You are being removed from the area where you did these crimes.
You could argue that stealing a bunch of people's money makes it so they can't buy food and then they starve to death, which is like a violent act.
But the point is this. Did this guy go around like mercilessly beating children?
There's the overt attack violence, but then there's also the stealing the resource.
That's irrelevant.
But Ian,
I don't think so.
Jail's supposed to rehabilitate people.
No, come on.
It doesn't do any of that. It makes them worse criminals.
There's two philosophies in the prison system. There's rehabilitation or punishment, right?
Retribution.
Oh, but see, I think where you're going to, nothing is black and white, right? Obviously, nothing is black and white. And I think, Tim, you propose a good idea. Like, if you go into a smash and grab, that's a violent crime.
Right.
If you steal from somebody and that takes food off their table, you could argue that that's a violent crime. Financial crimes like SBF, I think that you could reasonably argue, okay, you're going to be maybe on house arrest, but more importantly, every financial activity that you make is now going to be monitored. I mean, it's not that hard to do.
Here's what I'd say. SBF, there is zero risk of him punching a kid in the face. So we don't have to worry about locking him up behind multiple razor wire fences because he's not in. All we have to worry about is we don't want this guy doing financial deals and trading because that's where he broke the law. In fact, I don't even know what house arrest does. I would say house arrest because we do want some punitive element of this. Short duration, maybe a couple of years. And then after that, it's restrictions on access to financial systems and services. He should be able to live and work, but he's going to be breaking rocks or working at a grocery store. Yeah. He's not going to be doing big deals. Now, if a guy robbed a liquor store, this guy's dangerous. Armed robbery? Okay, we remove this guy from society temporarily and tell him, you are a danger to people, so we're putting you in a box. If there is no victim, or if it's nonviolent, then we do not need prison. So victimless crimes means like somebody was found with pot. I don't see how locking that person up in prison solves any problem.
I agree on the victimless crimes that people can be better served by learning. I mean, what would be what do you think for like someone caught with a bunch of pot?
Nothing. The war on drugs. The war on drugs needs to end tomorrow.
The cop can say, "Oh, pardon me, sir. I wasted your time."
Yeah, if you're going to go after the pot dealers, you got to go after big pharma, right?
Bingo. Well, see, now this is an important point. What I learned being in there, I'm not the only political prisoner in there. Now, in the political sphere of media, yes, people that get arrested for dealing drugs, in my opinion, are political prisoners. If they worked for a pharmacy or if they worked for a big pharmaceutical company, you can deal drugs all freaking day long and you can make billions of dollars. Doesn't matter how many people die.
But if you're a street pharmacist,
yeah, but if you deal fentanyl, you're going to jail forever. Now, I'm not endorsing. This is no way, shape, or form an endorsement of drug use. It's bad for you, but those are political prisoners in my eyes too.
Guys, it's Friday, so I absolutely have to pull up this story and segue to it. Is this real? Donald Trump was giving a speech, and I'm seeing these images pop up everywhere. He says everything is bad under Biden. Even the lemonade is killing people. Did you see that? People drink the lemonade and die. The lemonade didn't kill you when I was president. It was tasty and fun to drink. We loved the lemonade, didn't we?
This sounds like a deep fake.
We did, but not under Biden. Bacon is more money. Gas is more money. The lemonade is more money, and it kills you. When life hands you lemons, Joe Biden kills you with them.
Tim, we need a little context here, Tim, because we all went to the Biden rally. We drank the lemonade. I don't think it was lemonade, okay? I think it came from Hunter Biden. We ran a little analysis on it. A lot of cocaine, okay? There was a lot of cocaine. Maybe a little Parmesan cheese. I don't think they're selling it lemonade anymore, okay? I think it's a little bit something else. It might have killed somebody with a little fentanyl in there, okay?
There's got to be... I can't believe it's real, but I can believe it's real. And the issue is
we can find the video.
Panera had lemonade, right?
Yeah. Everyone's talking about the huge.
When life hands you lemons, Joe Biden kills you with.
What is the story?
I want to try that lemonade.
There's a bunch of stories.
Is there a video?
Panera's lemonade that kills you is really a story about our broken country.
It's a lemonade with like 500 milligrams.
Panera Bread faces suit from family of student who died after drinking charged lemonade.
Panera family sues Panera Bread after college student who drank charged lemonade dies.
Okay.
It was caffeine lemonade.
They have like 160. What is it?
No, it's 400 milligrams in the large size.
Yeah,
wow.
What?
Like,
caffeine?
It's a lot.
Yeah,
dude. And I drink coffee.
What?
That's a lot of caffeine.
Yeah, it's more than coffee. More
That's
than
what I was saying.
Is it like a cup of coffee, like 40?
Yeah, and like a
That's
rock
10 cups of coffee in one glass, and people probably drank like 2 of them.
And they
that's
didn't
why
realize
they put
it
on like those energy drinks. Like you don't consume more than 2 in 24 hours
exactly
or whatever.
Yeah, it says more than a can of Red Bull and Monster combined,
Yeah,
plus
like
the equivalent of
Celsius.
30
That's what it
teaspoons
is.
of
Like, you know, the drink Celsius, they're 200 milligrams. So it's
plus 30 teaspoons of sugar. 30 teaspoons of sugar.
That's not helping
probably
you.
what's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Whoa! I mean, at some point, yeah.
Well, the
you gotta-
caffeine also spikes your
yeah,
adrenals.
that's what I'm saying.
So it's horrible for you.
But that's the thing, though. Like I mean, I would not suggest anybody do this because it's obviously bad for you. But I'm probably taking like 500 milligrams of caffeine a day. But I've built a tolerance to it. Like my body is ready for
Spread
it.
out, probably.
You jump into that as a kid,
It's 4. So one charged lemonade was 4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, it's 390 milligrams in a 30-ounce serving, but they allow
I gotta get one of
refills.
these.
So people were literally having 4, 5, 6 of them a day in one sitting.
The 46
and they were like, yeah, this is lemonade. This
So
is
do
totally
we even
fine.
know then? Do we even know, did this girl only have 1 or did she maybe have 2, 3, or 4?
This says she died after drinking. Her name is Sarah Katz. She was 21-year-old college student with a heart condition. Died after drinking a charged lemonade.
I got bad news
a
for
heart
everybody.
condition from a...
I got bad news.
It's plant-based, though.
I got bad news.
There was another guy that
I got bad news.
Oh.
Viral images of Donald Trump
I
talking
knew
about
it.
lemonade are fake.
Yep. Someone had fun. Get ready for the future, which is
'Cause
going to be
I
deep
knew
and it's going to
I-
be fake.
But they were funny.
They were funny. I couldn't find the video, but it was too good to pass up. When life hands you lemon, Joe Biden kills you with them.
Is Panera
believable.
still selling this stuff?
They had to pull it.
Okay.
No,
it was
well,
2 wrongful death suits. The other guy's 46-year-old. He drank 3 glasses and then...
Well, that's what
I'd like to know if they
12
were...
cups of coffee in one sitting.
I'd like to know if they were... if they were hit with a little COVID juice.
There was more than just caffeine.
If they took,
Yeah.
What a-
Took the little-
Look, man, I got to be honest. You drink 12 cups of coffee in like 40 minutes, you're going to be in the hospital.
Yeah, I did that once anecdotally and had like massive nerve pain in my neck, like pre-stroke nerve pain. I was like, what is wrong? And I just stopped with the caffeine for a week after that.
Oh, dude, I was driving. So this is when I went on a road trip to the North Dakota pipeline protest. You guys remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to drive from that protest to LA. So this is North Dakota to Los Angeles, and I had like 2 days to do it. So I was like, I'm not stopping. And so I was awake for like 28 hours and I just kept slamming like 5-hour energy. And it got to the point, like the weirdest, I started hallucinating. Like
I think that's sleep deprivation.
And yes, right. But the caffeine was keeping me awake. And so I'm driving in my car and like, here's how I would describe it. Everything I could see, I'm like pulling up to a gas station. It looked like, what is that thing where it's 3D, but it's outlined like a cartoon? You know what I'm talking about?
Rotoscoping?
Acid?
Not rotoscope. So it's like, it's kind of like rotoscope, but it's, they make
Like Borderlands graphics?
Yeah.
That's called cell shaded.
Cell shaded.
Yeah.
Everything was turning into that. And then there was like a weird texture appearing over things. And I'm sitting in the car going like, I think I'm going to die. My heart was probably going like 120 beats per minute or something. And then I just pulled over and I was like, I'm going to just drink water and then sit. And so I had to stop.
Yeah,
I drank way too much.
It doesn't make you less tired. It binds to the adenosine receptors, adenosine, and those are so you don't realize you're tired, the caffeine, but you still get the fatigue was still tripping you out probably. Like you were saying.
I'm probably, I had 200 milligrams of caffeine before I got here. These drinks are 150 a piece. I've already had one, so I'm halfway through this. So I'm at least 400 milligrams in right now.
Did you do a lot in the past? Have you always done a lot of caffeine?
Not really. Not until I really got into my 30s, and it was kind of like a necessity to work as much as I do. I think that's what happens with people in coffee is they drink coffee all the time. I just don't like coffee. So what I'll do is either find an organic source of caffeine or take like a caffeine tablet, or we sell energy supplements at InfoWars too, and I'll drink that too. But again, I'm not telling people to drink 500 milligrams of caffeine a day. I'm saying you gotta, like, it took me a while to be to the point where, okay, this is kind of where I need to be, where I can function and do everything I need to do during the day and then still be able to sleep. I've got to cut it off at a certain time, otherwise I won't be able to sleep.
Yeah,
so in other words, probably not sleeping tonight.
Whenever I'm driving and I start to get tired and I'm falling asleep, the cars in front of me turn into cat faces.
Whoa.
I start hallucinating.
I know.
And
I
like
kinda
the
know that
tail
feeling.
lights.
That's when you,
like,
You know that feeling?
That's when I'm like,
Tripping.
I am pulling over and I am done.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
good.
the acid.
No, I don't do that stuff.
That's just
but like
the,
I used to
tryptamine that your
I used
body
to have
produces.
to drive
That's
at
crazy.
like 3 a.m. to the airport for my job, and I'd be super tired. And I'd be driving, and then all of a sudden, like I'm falling asleep, but I can't close my eyes. The cars in front of me just like start to turn into cats.
Yeah, that's when you pull over, and you should try some. You should try some vitamin B. A lot of the coffees now, especially at a lot of the major stores, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, they're absolutely filled with some of the worst additives and ingredients and
I don't
seed
drink that
oils
crap.
you could ever have. But I'm just speaking to the average American out there that is kind of hooked on it, as of course the ingredients in there are truly just absolutely awful. And I really do believe that they have been incrementally adding more and more high fructose corn syrup to the point where we become more and more addicted to it, and it's one of the things ailing our society more than I think cigarettes, more than anything else that is negative. Sugary
dude.
drinks are the
That's why,
worst.
that's why America's so fat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you cut sugar out 100%, after like a week, if you taste sugar, you'll go, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
it's
actually,
like pure syrup.
yeah, it almost burns. Like
It's just too sweet. So yeah, like everybody's noticed this. If you like eat a bowl of ice cream, then eat some piece of candy, it doesn't taste sweet because you've already just slammed sugar in your mouth.
I would argue if your bananas aren't sweet, you have too much sugar in your system. If carrots aren't sweet, you have too much
carrots
sugar
are
in your system.
sweet, man.
Yeah, carrots should be sweet for you. Coconut water should be sweet for you.
But I think it's important to distinguish the difference between processed sugar and natural sugar. Because natural sugar is not nearly as bad for you as processed
it
sugar.
Big
depends.
time.
It could be worse.
Sucrose,
It could be worse.
like refined sucrose is it can, because of the concentrations that they use, that's pretty nasty. But compared to like aspartame and high fructose, these
aspartame's
synthetic
not sugar.
Sweeteners, these synthetic sweeteners that they might call sugar, but for some reason I don't know how they can get away with it.
Don't take nutrition advice from me. Look it up, fact check me. But my understanding is glucose your body can utilize right away. Fructose your body has to process in the liver. So the fructose is sugar that's found in fruits. It's very taxing on the system. The problem is we don't just have glucose syrup anymore. We do high fructose corn syrup. They literally take corn syrup, put an enzyme in it to convert it into fructose so it tastes sweeter and strains your liver and causes damage.
I was looking at like it was Dow Chemical, I believe, was making high fructose for a while. And I think it was Dow Chemical. I went to their website and it took me like 20, 30 minutes to dig through the website on the process of how to make it. And they put it in these big tanks and they make it with like and then between creation of the high fructose corn syrup, they'd have to wash the tanks with a resin, and it was like the chemical. I don't want to misspeak.
Just
it could have been
syrup,
arsenic,
dude.
but
Just maple
the chemical that they use to wash the tanks, they don't put on the list of the ingredient of the high fructose, but they put like chemicals in the tank between production to clean the tanks that are probably, I would guess, ending up in the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, just like chemical runoff. That's what a lot of the like canola oils and stuff
the
they
seed
put in
oils.
food.
No, they're absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And you think you're cutting out sugar, but you really have to cut out the drinks. Like the drinks are the worst. And I was bamboozled. I was convinced that the green teas that I was having, I was like, oh, it's green tea. Oh, it's ginseng. Oh, they're totally great for you. 50 grams of high fructose corn syrup, and I was just chugging that.
Look
thing
at these.
like it was nothing.
Look at these ones you're drinking.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking this
These
one.
are
This is just
these
the
are
whole
not
thing.
as bad, but yeah, they
much
have
sugar
a
is in
bunch of additives. This has 11 grams. And that's added.
Mate. Yerba mate.
That's added to this.
And then you got this right here, Spindrift. It's got 0.
What's in it? What's it added to?
Zero sugar.
Is it 11 on top of something else?
No, they just
11?
add 11. Yeah.
It's not too much, but I mean, maybe I'm just desensitized to the 40 or 50 that you see in soda.
I got to tell you guys.
30 or whatever
I love
it is. Yeah, right.
bubble tea. Anybody you got bubble tea? I can't drink it. It's disgusting. It's like drinking maple syrup. I have to tell them no sugar. Just give me like the tea mixture or whatever, and then put the bubbles in it. The bubbles sugar enough, man.
I've had like maybe 24 grams of sugar in the last 4 hours, or maybe more, but I can feel my nose starting to run. Like I haven't been sick since I got COVID 2 years ago. And like a lot of it's probably because I don't eat a lot of the sugar swelling and all that. And I can sense it. I can feel it right now.
Let's go for this.
I gotta go pee too.
Let's go for thanks for letting us know.
Now everyone knows.
Let's go for this debate we got going on. From SCNR.com, $20,000 raised in 3 hours for legal defense of man who decapitated satanic statue in Iowa Capitol. My conscience is held captive to the word of God, not to bureaucratic degree, and so I acted. Now, hold on there a minute. We have this tweet from Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh, of course, threw down the gauntlet and struck my face with a dueling glove over my opinions on Bud Light. No, that's totally fine. But he has an opinion on this. He says, a satanic altar has no right to exist, certainly not inside a government building. We are not bound by our principles to sit by impotently while our state houses are turned into platforms for literal devil worship. Quite the opposite, in fact. Now, yeah, I don't like devil worship. And I think the way you go about stopping something like this is through procedure and policy and not through barbarism. And so I guess the issue here is Matt Walsh is defending the idea that this guy toppled this altar to Satan and Satanism. It's not necessarily, I don't know if it's actually Satan. It's like Satanism, the religion. And my attitude is like, dude, I don't see the argument in if you feel emotionally satisfied with it, it was just. Because that's the argument made by the left for taking Thomas Jefferson down. To be fair, Matt Walsh addresses this and says, obviously there's a difference between a revered historical figure who founded our, components of our country and of our government and Satan. And I'm like, completely agree.
And it should be considered a venerable object, which is a legal definition for stuff like that. I don't think a satanic monument is a venerable object.
But the issue, I suppose, is if we are a nation that has a right, no law respecting an establishment of religion, and people are allowed to worship the way they want to worship, then we either say we do not have religious iconography in state houses, or we have to accept that there's going to be wacky religions we don't like.
Yeah, to me, I think that the former has to be a pro. This is always the issue with the whole public property sort of concept. It's like, what do you allow versus what it is that you don't, which is why I believe personally all that stuff needs to be limited, because to your point, Tim, you start getting emotional with it, and people, yeah, obviously there's a difference between Thomas Jefferson and freaking Satan, but it's still to some people, unfortunately, that let's say that's in the eye of the beholder, and so to leave it up for dispute for any Joe Blow to say, hey, when I'm feeling a certain type of way, I get to do this versus when I don't, that's always going to be a problem, which is why I think the public property thing is just a fundamental issue. And look, I'm a realist at the end of the day, so I get it. What Matt Walsh is kind of where he's getting at. Look, man, the game is not we were talking about this in previous segments, man. The game is the game. So when the left, when they want to, let's say that they'll bend and break the rules to mean whatever it is that they want to mean. So they don't give a crap about what it is that you hold tight and true to, and whatever monuments it is that you have, if they feel like it's worth them toppling it, they'll use whatever nonsensical laws, perhaps even to justify their own sort of action. So I think fundamentally, I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm playing the game that they playing. You know,
this is why the American left, or more historically speaking, conquering totalitarians destroy culture. You see, this shouldn't even be a debate in American culture. I mean, we can get into the kind of nuance of, oh, well, what do you allow in a government building versus what you don't. But if we had a culture, if we had a consistent culture, this wouldn't even be a debate. We wouldn't be talking about should a Christian monument stand or should a historical monument stand. That would be our culture, and we would agree that's our culture. Whether we agree with it spiritually, that wouldn't even be up for debate. A satanic monument shouldn't even be in the debate. But because they've destroyed our culture, and we've got all this infighting now about, oh, what should be here, what should be there, what's the nuance of all these laws? Well, at some point, culture kind of would overwhelm all of that. But because our culture has been destroyed, now we have to sit here and have a debate of, does a satanic statue belong in the government building? It's like, are you kidding me?
But the question is, do you want to become what you're fighting? So I would just kind of counter that kind of point of view. Like,
but that's the
if we're gonna be doing that, okay, let's you know.
But isn't that a winning issue? Like, you can't support the guy that tears down Satan?
Right. But no, that's again, I get it. But that's where I think the left sort of differs from the quote unquote American right, because they don't care about that part, which is why they're such a difficult enemy to fight. So while, yeah, I don't want to be you and I don't want to become you, it's not going to stop them from kicking me in the nuts when they get a chance. They have absolutely no issues bastardizing whatever power it is that they sort of have. Again, like I was saying before, bending and breaking the rules. So you can go up to them and be like, look, man, I don't want to be you. You like, I look at you and you're the worst of us all. But in the same respects, on the other hand, they're like, well, I don't care. Am I dirty? Yeah. The left. I mean, you should have. Everybody realized this in 2020, or at least you should have. That should have been a wake up call for everybody when the whole COVID thing and the George Floyd stuff happened. When the left, literally the day before all this, the riots and whatever took place, they were basically saying if you went outside, you were going to kill grandma. And then the next, out of nowhere, the George Floyd situation happens. Now everybody's bunched up together and we're walking the streets. And we knew they were hypocrites. They didn't care. That's the thing, and this is what I'm trying to explain to the right in this country. It's like, look, you are dealing with an enemy that does not abide by the same set of ethics, morals, whatever it is that you want to call them, that you have. If anything, they will use it against you. It's like that. It's like a militant, sort of leftist atheist trying to appeal to God when they'll say whatever against God, 10 minutes before they made that claim. Or they'll be like, well, that would be something Jesus would do. They do that stuff because they're trying to weaponize your own morals.
And this is why the heads of those universities, when they were asked about the calls for genocide of the Jews, immediately said, well, the Constitution protects. They routinely defy the principle of free speech, our constitutional protections. And then the moment someone questions some abhorrent thing they want to say, they immediately run and hide behind the Constitution.
So in other words, there is no Jenna Ellis of the left saying, hey guys, are we sure we want to do this? I don't remember any lawyers from the left saying, hey, stop tearing down monuments, stop attacking police officers.
They don't care. No, and that's what I'm saying. And I'm not going to pretend like I know all the answers. This is what I'm saying. That's such a difficult enemy to combat, right? Because again, it's like I'm going into it and I'm trying to be ethical with this. But I also have to understand that you're not playing by those same set of rules. You'll hold me to those standards if it means that it's advantageous to you. But at the end of the day, it's not anything that you're going to follow.
Do you think a lot of that is denial, though, from the American right? Could you say, this is what I'm trying to get the American right to understand. Do you think a lot of it is denial? Like, absolutely. Oh, we're not under attack. The Constitution isn't under threat. Like, this isn't actually going on.
Delusion, I think, is more the accurate term to what it is. It's like, I get it. You want to believe that the world is the way that it's actually not. But for the sanctity of or really for our own sanity, it's like we need this to be true. It's like what we talk about, whether it be with police officers, whether it be with the judicial system, whatever it may be. You like to think that these people are better than us. They are the best of us. They're not. I mean, you can see all the examples and how they're not. If anything, they're the worst of us. Like I say, with the Congress really being a band full of absolute criminals. But in order for us to get by in life, it's comforting to believe this idea that the world is something that it's absolutely not. And like I said, it's just such a difficult enemy to combat because they're just not going to play fair. And then they tell you that they have no issues being like, yeah, I was a hypocrite to what I said yesterday. Yeah, we said that you were going to kill grandmas. We told y'all, hell, we even arrested some of y'all if it came down to it. But now we're going to link up and we're going to protest. And yeah, it's okay. In fact, they were using the medical institution to try to justify what it is that they were doing when they were linking up, despite them telling you that this was something that was criminal when you did it. That shows that they just don't care.
There were scientific articles. There was mainline scientists and the corporate media saying this is going to help people.
Yes, they were saying
this is going to be great for their health.
Down because all of these people were marching together, despite them yesterday saying you were killing grandma.
It was I think like a university in Colorado that was like, we found Black Lives Matter protests actually reduced the spread of COVID.
Yes.
Unbelievable. What?
Yes. But the anti-lockdown protests made COVID worse.
And then there was video out of New York where everybody's marching and the doctors wearing masks are all clapping and cheering. But then there's a photo from DC where people were protesting the lockdowns and nurses were blocking cars and looking angry. These people are hypocrites. And they're insane.
Yes.
A combination of the two.
Part of the issues I got with the satanic altar thing that Matt Walsh is talking about is that I think what started it all was that someone came in and, quote, defaced where was it, in Congress somewhere, by putting up the 10 Commandments, technically because you're not supposed to put up any religious text in that building. So someone started it by putting up the 10 Commandments. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with the 10 Commandments, and I find that Satan is probably considerably more evil relatively in general society than the 10 Commandments. But it seems like the satanic thing was like a response to, well, you put up your religion, I'm going to put up my religion. How do you like it? So I don't think maybe.
But in that regard, though, you have to ask then, is it even really a religion or is it just spite?
Probably both. Technically, I don't know exactly what the impetus was, but I mean, this temple of Satan, the Satanic Temple, is now legally a religion since I don't know when, last 20 years,
a couple of years ago or something.
A couple of years,
maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I think.
So they're technically,
they got tax code certification or something.
Could have been anybody. Could have been an Islamic symbol. Could have been a Scientology thing.
They're doing it in response to having the 10 Commandments in like the building, I guess.
Do you think they would have done the same thing if somebody put Muslim scripture up there?
Like ripped
Muslim
it down?
scripture would have not have been ripped down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Somebody had a visceral response to the satanic imagery.
No. But I mean, if the satanic imagery was in response to the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. They wouldn't put anything up over Muslim stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
It's
so I think it's animus towards Christianity is what I think.
Could have been, yeah. Or it could have just been towards organized religion in general. Who knows? It's tough to say. I don't know who did it. Who did it? And who put up the 10 Commandments? Did that ever come out? Did both of those people get in trouble? Because why'd they let the
But that's my point is
so
I don't think it is against organized religion in general because I think we all agree if it was Muslim literature or scripture, they would not have responded with the satanic.
It's an assumption. I don't know. It's tough to say. I have to ask the guy. I don't necessarily condone tearing it down, but it shouldn't have been there. None of those things should have been there. 10 Commandments shouldn't have been there. And
I definitely don't agree with tearing it down.
You think it should have stayed?
I think it should have been removed through procedure. Like you file a lawsuit and
technically tearing it down is a procedure. You know?
Right. What I mean is,
it's a BLM procedure.
What they're trying to do is they're going to go to normies and say, look at what Matt Walsh says when a guy destroys our statue, and then they pretend they care about statues being removed. They're going to make a false equivalency. Now, Matt is correct. They're not the same thing. But I think what I would say he's missing here is we're trying to convince regular people we are right. They are playing this dirty game where they hold their hand in front of your face and saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And then when you swat their hand away, they post a video online saying, guy punches peaceful activist. This is what they're doing every step of the way. Matt Walsh, his reaction is the desired outcome. They wanted someone to smash the satanic altar. They were hoping and praying someone would do it.
Well, let me just kind of switch lanes on this issue then. For this guy who I believe is running for Congress in Mississippi, the guy that smashed the satanic altar.
He is?
I believe so. Whatever we think about the action that he had that day, I would say as a Republican voter and as somebody who's looking for somebody with a spine in the Republican Party in Congress, I say good. That's the exact type of person I want in Congress, because they're not going to take any crap, and they're actually going to do the things that Republican voters have been wanting their conservative representation to do forever. So if it was a political stunt, I say smart move. Good for him.
My concern is if it inspires people to do it again, and then like I have something on my lawn and someone comes up and they're like, I don't like it, and they smash it down.
But that's not your lawn. They're not going to. Nobody's going to do it on your lawn. I mean, I guess supposedly, but this was in a government building. It was a big story. It was a viral story. He knew he could seize the moment.
Did you see the guy like 5 days ago walk in with a fire extinguisher and extinguish the menorah?
That was
that was
Polish
Poland.
MP.
Yeah.
Kind of similar.
No,
Like he didn't agree with the menorah in some way.
That was brutal and awful and wrong. That, like, knocking on a satanic altar irks me in a procedural kind of way and like a strategic kind of way. Like, don't give them the thing to desire. Actually going after a legitimate religion, which is literally just lighting candles, I'm like, that's a dick move. You know what I mean? Like,
but Polish is a very Christian nation, and he looked at that as a Christian, and he didn't like that culture being in his Christian nation. That was how he looked at it.
And I think regardless of whether it's Judaism or Satanism, there should be a calm, higher level reasoned response, not a brutal animalistic response. I reject the ethos and ideology of BLM and the tactics of the left, where they stomp around like morons, biting and punching things. And I think that we actually could be ideologically better men and say, here is exactly why this should not be for my reason stands. And we say, okay, and we take it down. And the message we send is that we deal with things in an orderly fashion.
Yeah, I think this debate is very important right now, because I think we're dealing with a situation where a lot of the people within the DOJ and the FBI want to provoke a certain situation. They want, I think, the people on the right to be angry. They are acting in a very litigious, unfair way. And with them now going after journalists, we were talking about this a couple of days ago, it's almost as if they're trying to provoke the people on the right to overreact. So I think being calm, I think not overreacting, I think being better than the left and not acting violent and not acting on our emotions is our strength. There are some key things to it that are disadvantages, but there's also a lot of advantages for it as well. And I think we should stay along those lines, in my own personal opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just my initial kind of knee-jerk reaction to all of this.
But Eric, your logic is kind of different, right? If I'm hearing you correctly.
Well, yeah, because I look at it both ways. It's like a strategy thing. So while I understand that there's obviously going to be instances where it is important to not necessarily act like, let's say, your opponent is going to act, I just think you have to be a little more analytical than just like, hey, you're the bad guy and you're acting in a certain way, and I don't want to be that guy. I think you have to be more strategic with it. It's like, look, in a given instance where it is going to be advantageous for you to act a certain way long term, you got to take the game for what it is. We can't be. I think us trying to be too idealistic about it is how they got so much ground, because we looked at it like, oh, we're the more analytical guys, right? We do things the right way. Meanwhile, the left kind of comes in, stomping around, flipping tables, doing whatever the hell it is that they want. And to be fair, it's worked for them. They've gotten what it is that they wanted. So it's like, I believe there's an appropriate response to where, yeah, you don't want to just be a leftist. I don't think that doesn't help anybody. But in the same respect, you got to understand what the actual game is. And as I always say, act accordingly. It doesn't mean act like them. It means do not go into a game that is unfair trying to play fair, because you're going to lose every single time.
It's the difference between de jure law and de facto rule. De jure rule, and this is a French term, de jure means by law. De facto means by fact. So you may own a property de jure, the law, you have the paperwork, but if someone goes and sits in that house and takes it and won't let you in, then they own it by de facto. You by fact, you don't own it anymore. And if all you do is just play the du jour game and you're like, well, I have the paperwork, therefore it's mine, but 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years go by and you can't get into your house, then you're playing asymmetrical. And it's sad. It is sad that is reality, but that is reality. And it's reality in war often, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
And we try and stick to the law. It's very important. But when fact is, whoever the fact is the fact of what is.
But they don't care about the law. Look what happened to Owen, which I think we should be talking about your particular case more because, as you said, now a lot of other journalists are going to be arrested and prosecuted because of what you went through.
And really, it's not just the journalists, because there's no doubt they're going to use this as a precedent to go after other journalists. But I also think they want to snuff out any right-wing activism as well. They don't just want to snuff out any journalism that may go against the establishment. In this case, it's the left-wing establishment. But they also want to snuff out any activism from conservatives as well. And so I think it's really a two-pronged issue. The journalism one is obviously the one that gets the focus and the one that it has more of the press at this point. But it's definitely at an activist level as well. I think the real reason why the Democrat Party hates me so much is they couldn't imagine if there were 100 of me, 1,000 of me, 1,000,000 of me, they wouldn't exist. They'd be done. They wouldn't be able to have any of these shams going on, because when the Democrats show up to the Capitol, what do? They bring 1,000 people wearing the pink vagina hats. They bring 1,000 people for a pro-Palestinian protest. They bring 1,000 people to chant against Amy Coney Barrett or Brett Kavanaugh. I was one man. That stood up against the Trump impeachment sham. It's not like I'm the only one that knew it was a sham. It's not like I was the only one in that room that knew it was the sham. But they kind of see me as like the Spartacus where, if other people think they can be Owen Shroyer, if other people think they can stand up and tell the Democrat what for and why, then we got to snuff that out now. We got to shut him down now. We can't have this Marcus Aurelius showing up in Washington, D.C. They tried to ban me from D.C. The Democrats tried to ban me from D.C. entirely, twice, and the judges laughed him out of the room.
And it wasn't just about attacking you. I think it was also about scaring everyone else in the industry who's going to be like, Owen's in jail for saying something. I better watch out what I say now. I better be careful now. So I truly do think your case is very important to talk about. Are there any updates that we should know about? Is there any other details that haven't been released to the general public that you think are important to highlight here?
Well, we are going to be taking my appeal to the Supreme Court. That is where it's going to end up as far as its fate there. I think it's still a little too far off or foggy to know what the fate there might be. But my case has recently gotten attention because of my prison sentence, obviously. But the truth is, I've been politically persecuted by the American left and the Democrat Party since 2019, really since 2018, when they censored me off of all the mainstream social media platforms. They arrested me for disrupting Congress, which, again, this is something that happens all the time. David Hogg disrupted Congress. He stood up during a hearing on gun violence and disrupted Congress. Now, is David Hogg going to get charged and go to jail? No, of course not. And I would argue he shouldn't. I don't think he should. I believe that's David Hogg's First Amendment right. When all them show up and they disrupt Congress for whatever reason, for abortion, climate change, all this other stuff, do they get charged? Do they get arrested? 98% of the time, no, they don't. The only time they will is if they resist arrest or assault a police officer. Then they'll get arrested. What normally happens in that situation, and this is what would have happened to me, they detain you, they escort you out of the building, and then they release you on your merry way and say you're not welcome here again today. But somebody got on the walkie-talkie for the Capitol Police that December in 2019 and said, no, you're arresting Shroyer. You're charging him and arresting him. And even the Capitol Police were like, what the heck? I did another one where there were 40, 50 Trump protesters inside the Capitol. This was in the beginning of 2020, January 2020. 40, 50 Trump protesters inside the Capitol. I go there to interview them. The next day, I showed up with a piece of tape over my mouth that said censored. I got arrested. I spent 36 hours in jail for that. Now, the next day, when that charge reached the judge's docket, he threw it out and completely dismissed it. So I don't have any charges for that. But the point is, 40 to 50 Trump protesters can be in there in the Capitol. One pro-Trump protester stands there with a piece of tape over his mouth. He gets arrested. And so really, all of that was the background, and that's why they put me in jail.
I'm thinking a lot about protests lately. I mentioned this a little bit before the show. I talked to Jacob Chansley earlier today, who was the American shaman, who was also at the Capitol. And we did an interview on my channel on YouTube, which was nice. And I was like, I think the thing about protest is the evolution of protesting right now is it's good to be out on the street yelling like, thing is bad, but you just kind of want to acknowledge the thing and then offer your solution. And the protest, the forward testament, the positive, that's the real protest. The idea that you want to scream about bad has to go away. Obviously, you want to educate people what it is, but offer them the solution. And I think you can do it online. There is online censorship, unfortunately, but a lot of times when you're not screaming thing is bad on the internet, you don't get censored. If you're screaming this is the solution, people listen. And that's a great way to shift protest.
Well, a lot of people are afraid to protest. I remember there was a couple other protests that were happening a couple of months ago, and everyone online is saying, hey, don't show up. There's going to be feds that are going to infiltrate and cause an event, just like they did on this one particular date. Don't show up. Don't do it. So this works in many different ways. I think the fear aspect is one of the most important ones, and this is why I think, Owen, it's so important for you to come out and talk and say, hey, I made it through. They put me in the system. I made it out. I'm stronger. I'm better than ever. That message is so important because it shows us, okay, they could go after you, they could punish you, but guess what? You're going to come out on the other side. You're still are going to be there no matter what they kind of throw at you. That message is more important. I don't know if you would probably say it a little bit better, but I want to kind of leave this kind of open-ended statement for you and kind of where do you see things going from here?
Well, I would just say that I've kind of just lived that. I mean, I haven't stopped talking since I got out. I mean, I've probably done like 20 or so interviews. I'm here tonight on this show. It's going to get millions of views. You know, I would say that it's something that's hard to deal with when you're in there, right? It's something that's hard to deal with when you're actually in there. But if you truly believe in your cause and you truly believe in your actions, then you can find that this is not going to be done in vain, that there is going to be a positive result on the other side of this. And I mean, maybe there will be something big in my case, maybe not, but I think that it at least as far as getting the issues out and getting the message out and getting the awareness out, it's already had a major impact. I mean, they brought it up at the BOP hearing, and now a lot of members of Congress and presidential candidates are kind of reevaluating this whole situation, not just with January 6th, but just overall the persecution that goes on in this country and the situation that people are facing locked away in jails when it's non-violent criminals, victimless crime criminals. So, but to answer your question, I would much rather, I don't want my fate to be controlled, or I don't want my image to be controlled by the people that hate me and want to silence me. I want to be the one that controls it. So like you said, I don't want people to say, oh, I'm afraid to talk, or oh, I'm afraid to do this, or I'm afraid to take action, or I'm afraid to do a protest. I want people to say, no, I want to do it even more now. I think it's important that I stand for my cause, and I think it's important that I don't live in fear when I'm doing this. It's important that I don't censor myself. I don't have this chilling effect, or I don't stay home thinking this is the safe thing for me to do, is just stay out of the way. So I'm hoping that my story goes that way instead of the way certainly the Democrats or the establishment will want it, is they see my case and they say, oh, I've got to shut up now. I hope people see my case and they say, oh, I've got to get louder now.
I was thinking about so many things, and I was just about to. I just lost my train of thought. I'll get it back.
You got to type it down on your computer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's what Luke's.
Yeah, I got the notes. I got the papers. I'm jotting things down. It's important, especially for people who procreated substances. Before. I won't get into it.
My train of thought.
It's okay, Ian. It's totally fine.
You were.
So I heard that Twitch was trying to allow nudity, and then didn't.
They learned pretty quick.
It wasn't nudity. It was like near close to nudity.
I know what I was going to say.
There's jiggling and oils.
I was going to talk about
it was a lot.
The discretion of using the internet, talking on the internet, because the internet's pretty new and people are still figuring out how to use it. Because like I'll sit around and war game with my friends and be like, well, what I really think about what that government did with that is this false flag thing, and this could have happened, and it's very likely or possible that this. But when I go on the internet, I don't want to say that out loud because in case I'm wrong, and a lot of times I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but just in case I'm wrong, it could cause like death and destruction and incompatibility, and I don't want to do that. And I also think it's people are watching and listening, and they're like, I hope he's not saying. But like, it's just there's more of a responsibility when the cameras are on. If someone hacks you talking on your Alexa and they hear it and then they post you're talking, you didn't put it on the internet, someone else did, and they're responsible for that message. But if you proactively put your message out there and you're just spitballing, there's a lot of responsibility behind that. So I've been kind of quiet about like war gaming, like the military, because like the conflicts on Earth right now. I want to talk about what's going on in Israel. I just don't do it on the internet because I don't know. I don't have the proof, and I'm not even gonna question that stuff. It's just war is a different game because there are no rules in that kind of thing, and I don't want to bring that down upon myself. And that's I've been thinking about that since the Israeli conflict since October.
But here's
7th.
what you know: you're anti-war,
big time.
So there you go. So that's what you know.
Not necessarily. There are just wars of defense. When the U.S. went to war in World War II, I think they had to step up. I'm anti-conquest for this in a lot of ways. I don't think, but there are times when I think it is necessary to fight for national defense.
I kind of have a question for you. You were in there for, 40 plus days?
47.
What was the most kind of uplifting moment or inspiring moment when you were in there?
Definitely all the letters that I received. I mean, I received, I don't know how many, at least 500, maybe closer to 1,000. And just reading the positive words from people, supportive words from people. Some people got really personal, like telling me extremely personal stories. Some people told me war stories. Some people, talked about struggles that they went through. Some people who had been in prison before talked about things that they did to get through their time. So really, it was the people. And I've said this a couple times, that because I understand why people lose faith in the American people or even in the idea of America with everything that we're going through. But reading that from people and some of the people I talked to on the inside, both workers at the prison and the inmates, my faith in the American people was reaffirmed. I mean, it truly was. I have a deep faith in the American people. I really do. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, that's what built this country was the people that lived here. It was the American people. And it's going to have to be the American people that restore it or rebuild it from everything that's been ripped out from under us. I mean, you look at some of the greatest cities in the world at one point, St. Louis, Baltimore, Chicago, major, they've been destroyed. They've been destroyed. We've been lapped by cities in the Middle East and cities in China and the Far East. Why? Because it's been stolen and it's been destroyed. I believe that we can rebuild. I believe that we can restore. And I believe that the American people still has the soul and the spirit to do it. We've just kind of been asleep. We've kind of been in a trance. We've kind of been poisoned by the food and the water. But I do believe it's possible. It's going to be the American people. It's not going to be the president of the United States. It's not going to be anybody in Congress. That's how we help ourselves politically. But it's going to have to be the American people that rebuild this. We need good policy, obviously. But ultimately, my faith in the American people was restored. I mean, the letters that I got were truly, they were inspirational. They got me through some of the hardest times, really.
You get any chicks trying to date you?
That's a yes.
No
That's a yes. That's a yes.
My client will be taking the 5th.
Did they send it? Like, can they send photos or anything like that?
Yeah, you can send photos.
Okay.
What's your how long you're still on probation? Is it?
Yeah, for a year.
See, boys, it's not all bad. Okay, I just wanted to
The lady's like a bad boy. You know what I mean?
They do. And hey, listen, we're all in this same field here. Let's be honest here. There's a level of danger for speaking the truth in a whole empire of lies. There's a layer of holy freaking cow, I could go to jail for expressing political thought and expressions. I could go to jail for expressing my truth. It's not that bad. You'll get love letters and some nice ladies messaging you, so it's gonna be fine. It's cool. It's
We'll
all right.
figure it out. But how about
we gotta weigh your options, boys.
How about we go to Super Chats? If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and we're going to read your Super Chats. But first, head over to thebestsongever.com, download the song where it says download, name your price, and you will get, when you download the whole package, a file with a unique code. If you go to Casper.com, 35% off all your coffee purchases. I hope we sell out. I hope we just sell all the coffee we have. But if you buy the song, you're helping us basically storm our way onto the Billboard charts, but not just us. Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire also have writing credits on this. They wrote the song. And in the event, sometime down the road, we sell 500,000 of these, we get a gold record. And they can't ignore us when we do something like that. But eventually, one of these days.
Now I get to say how awesome the song is, and you know what I'm talking about because you listened to it. It was spectacular. Carter Banks, nice work.
That's right. All right. Clint Torres says, howdy, people. Howdy, Clints. You are, of course, number one. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, who knew the Timcast cover of Together Again was actually what Tenacious D was singing about in tribute? Congrats. It's actually true. Yeah.
I did think about that when you said the title of the song.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
The best song ever.
Yeah.
All the comments are like Tenacious D. And I'm like, well,
Have you been contacted
Smokey Mike
by
and the
Jack
guys-
Black yet?
Tenacious D, they were actually singing about Stairway to Heaven. And if you see their original HBO special where the Tenacious D got their start, they play a little Stairway to Heaven riff, but then when they made the movie, they didn't have the copyright, so they had to make a song up. Stairway apparently
This is just
is
a
the best
tribute.
one. Yep.
Let's grab some more super chats. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Carter, Tim, we should go get some ice cream. Tim, yeah, I agree. Then that'd make a killer music video. Part 2 can be you guys using a claw machine. I think the one we did with Ian, where Ian actually gained like 25 pounds of raw muscle or whatever. I don't know. That one might be coming out in January, or it might get pushed back. We have another song that is more electronic and upbeat. The one with Ian is like a horror song. It's like creepy sounds and like pretty weird.
Yeah. It was technically,
I describe it as a
about,
horror song.
Maybe about 14 pounds of muscle, fat, water, all
There
that
you go.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
But
it was
yeah,
cool.
we'll see.
So that's
We'll
where
see.
the 15 pounds I lost in prison went.
Took it from you, man. I was
gotta
dreaming
get,
about you.
I got to get that back.
I siphoned it. Yeah, so what's your plan? How you doing it?
I'm just lifting as many heavy weights as I can until I can get back to where I was at.
I saw you said you were started about 20% of where you were at, 25 or
Yeah,
something
it was like
that.
10 the first time, about 20 the second time. I'm probably about like maybe getting close to 30. It's coming back a little quicker than I thought. If I was measuring it out, I used to be able to do a deadlift, front squat, press with 170 pounds, and I put up I think 130 or 140. I put up 140. So I lost 30 pounds on that, which is probably the toughest weight lift that I would do. So it's slowly coming back, but I mean, really, it's just you're starving all the time. You're sleep deprived all the time. I'm gonna get it back though. I look at it as a challenge. I don't look at it like a setback. I look at it like a challenge, and that's how you got to look at these situations in life.
All right. Micah Johnson says, Tim, what is the process for redeeming the 30%? It's 35% Casper discount after buying the best song ever. Love the show. Thank you for what you do. So it's only if you bought it from thebestsongever.com, and then it says download, name your price. You click that, and it's the minimum is 69 cents, but you can give whatever you want. You will get a download with the song in a folder, and the folder has a file which contains your unique code you can use if you go to casper.com. So I'm telling you guys, if you want to buy coffee, and you should, let's say you want to buy one bag of, say, Raspberry Jr. per month, do the subscription option, use the code, and that 35% will be forever. And I'll stress this again. Let's say 6 months later, you're like, I'm canceling my Cast Brew. And then 3 months after that, you're like, I want to start again. You still get the 35%.
What if you have one bag a month, you cancel it, and you're like, I want to subscribe for 3 bags a month. Does that disrupt the code?
I think it would still, I think new subscriptions would not have the code.
And alterations of
So
a
like,
subscription?
I could put it this way. You could subscribe to 10 bags per month right now with the code and then cancel right away, get those 10 bags, and then later on down the line, a year from now, you could buy 10 bags with a subscription and the code would apply. And then you could cancel it right away. And for the rest of your life, you will have that discount. I'm saying it's a good deal. Go to thebestsongever.com.
Good coffee too. I like that.
It is
pumpkin spice.
Dude, we actually sell out of Appalachian Nights is the top seller, and we go through it like crazy. It's nuts. Yeah. We're constantly having to reorder. It's like when you order it, you're basically getting something that was roasted like a few days before, like super fresh.
You sell more whole bean or ground?
Ground. Yeah, people aren't buying whole bean. Yeah, so we're gonna reduce the amount of whole bean we carry, but we're still gonna have it. Sam Good says it was so hard to find the video to the point where I had to go to a non-mobile website to even find it. Your shadow ban must be back because of Owen. Perhaps. Well,
I'm sorry.
I've been trying to buy ads on Google, and they're just in pending review, and I'm like, that's weird. Normally, when we run ads, it's like instantly just it goes. This one, not so much.
Yeah,
But we are running ads on X as well, and so far we have $45,000 in ads on X for the song. Because like I said, we're going to be spending, I pledged advertisements on X. We're doing it, and we're going to do more.
Dude, it has 221,000 views on YouTube.
It actually has more than that. Those are front-facing, so whenever you look at the numbers displayed on any YouTube video, the actual numbers behind the scene could be 3 to 5 times higher. It really just depends.
Kent Welling, man, his voice acting is incredible.
Oh, and it was funny because the Daily Wire crew was like, can you send us the script for the video? And I was like, there is none. We ad-libbed all of it. It's just we pressed go and we said stuff. Let's go. What do we have? Alad says, hi, Tim. Shout out to Together again. You guys did an amazing job. The video is awesome. Tommy Mac released a pop synth song as well. Great minds, huh? That's right. We got to do a song with Tom McDonald. That'd be great. But it's the first day the song's been up. We have all till next week to get the charts. I think if we sell like 50,000, that's around where you hit Billboard Hot 100. And that's really that's the fingers crossed. Let's get this. So the Daily Wire is doing a big push as well. Because the writing credit goes to Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles, and then we get a cover credit, like it's like a modern writing credit or whatever. But the idea that we could get onto their charts when we said, hey guys, we have a song, they said go F yourself. We're like number one. We released the first song we put out and we're charting across the board, and they told us to go F ourselves. The only way to force them to have to write about it, and I'm sure they'll talk smack or whatever, is to just push harder and harder onto the charts.
This is I think this is just a winner.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I got to be honest. Only Ever Wanted did better than I realized it did. Yeah, like it actually did remarkably well. And when we compare it to the metrics for our earlier music, and other stuff that other people have put out, I'm like, wow, actually, that song did really good. The response was really great too. People were interested for whatever reason. All right, Daniel Galazzo says Alex Jones Infowars is getting DDoS'd. NATO approves Ukraine plus 9 other countries. World War III is about to start. Wait, NATO approved Ukraine? That just happened?
I don't think so. I
haven't
would hear
heard that.
about it.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like apocalyptic levels of...
But they're getting desperate, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to pull that.
There's going to be something that they're going to try to pull.
Yeah, okay, the latest is just that Biden says it will happen in the future.
So is that
That's
guy
still
also
not
lying
good.
about the DDoS attack? I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about that from the crew, but that stuff happens all the time.
I think
at
Jake
InfoWars.
Paul just endorsed Vivek.
Yeah, he invited him to his fight tonight.
Yep. I
Really?
think there's a video going around.
Wow.
Jake Paul saying, I'm
That's
officially
great.
endorsing.
He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Super cool.
We should reach out to him. He's great.
I'd love to get Jake or Logan on the show.
Mhm. Jake's the man. I mean, Logan too, but Jake would probably.
I'm a big fan of Logan. Jake's
love them
cool.
both.
I don't know a lot about.
They're
like,
Ohio boys. They're from my hometown, my area.
I've heard Logan talk about hard work, entrepreneurship, and success and stuff, and I'm like, this guy gets it. That's why he is where he is. I respect it. Shout out. Plus, like, I respect them, like, training to fight and do what they want to do. That's
They
cool
know
stuff.
how to get attention, and they
Exactly.
work very hard.
Great marketing.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Okay. Jeremy B says, hey, Luke, what is your take on Donald Tusk getting elected?
Not good. He's essentially a globalist, and this is not really good for the people of Poland. So I'm not happy about it.
How did he get elected?
Good question. There's been a lot of immigration into Poland from Ukraine. There's been a lot of scandals with the church too. Predominantly Poland is 90% Catholic, but there's been a lot of scandals with the church as well that failed a lot of people. So I don't know. It's hard to kind of understand it myself.
Dylan Visitacion says, I pre-ordered the song. It's okay. Doesn't live up to the hype, though. Kind of disappointed. Just my opinion. Shout out to Eric July. I have a pile of signed comics. Thanks. Well, Dylan, I mean, that's fine. Jeremy Boring's the one who wrote it. Don't look at me. Like, all the writing credit goes to Jeremy and Michael Knowles. Oh, wow. So your opinion, you got to take it up
Are
with
you
them.
listening to it with enough bass, Dylan? Try it with. Make sure if the device you have it on has the bass pumped up.
You're allowed to not like music. You're allowed to not like certain kinds of art. The reality is, we put out some songs, and then everyone's like, "Wow, this is my jam. I love this style." And other people are like, "I hate this kind of music." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course. Like, I don't listen to country, so it's like if someone put out a country song, I just be like, yeah, not my jam. You know, whatever. Have a nice day. All right, where we at? What have we? Dick Dickerson says, I can't believe Ian beat a kid because the kid made fun of graphene. Luke created a monster.
Fake news, but if
did.
you see the music video, you'll know what he's talking about.
Oh, that picture of Ian is so good. Yeah, he's in cuffs in a jumpsuit. He's going to jail.
Yep.
Here we go. The trooper says, before the first Civil War, we had a caning in the Senate. Now we got a pegging. Things are going to get weird this time around.
That's a good one.
Jeez, that's a good one. Well done.
Yikes. All right. What do we got? Legama says, may I offer a limerick in these trying times? 2 staffers in a wrestle of lust in the Senate aroused our disgust, filming their tussle, causing quite a bustle, their cheeky caper a humorous thrust. The memes are already popping up on X.
It was well done, but it's too much. It's too heavy.
The memes of like U.S. government taxpayer and...
Good. We need that.
Jeez.
That's what's really going on in there.
Let's go. Paul Jones says, I got introduced to Eric through this podcast. Been waiting for you to have him back. Good to see Luke back as well.
Oh, shut up. Appreciate you.
Yeah, right on. Always good fun. Pretty Much Media says, Tim and Eric, my partner and I are working on creating a media company to make comics, cartoons, and music video games. And music and video games. We're about to launch a campaign for a graphic novel. Any advice for building up to be a successful company?
Ooh, man. Look, I don't want people to get the wrong idea, looking at our success and thinking kind of it's just one of those things that just happened, and it's not. I've been kind of doing creative things for the better part of the last 18 years or so. So I think that's kind of where you start, and that's kind of being personable, interacting with people, building some sort of audience of people that you can depend on, building that rapport. And in order to sort of do that, you kind of have to deliver, you absolutely have to deliver on whatever product it is that you're going to put out there. So my advice, shout out to you and your aspirations, but my advice would be to pick one of those. I guess you said the graphic novel, you're starting with that. That's a great place to start. Just make sure it's the best to your ability. It doesn't need to be perfect, but make sure it's to the best of your ability and take that thing serious, because that's going to be your first impression from your audience. So don't cut any slack or any corner, with anything it is that you do. But you're going to have to get out there and be a lot more interactive. I think that's the future of entertainment now, because people have been burned and given money to people that kind of hate them. So people want to know who they're giving their money to. So start there, though. But shout out to you, man. I wish you nothing but the best.
Right on. Let's grab some more. Call Me Josh says, I suppose the slippery slope fallacy isn't really a fallacy at all, is it? I mean, here we are living the nightmare. Acceptance doesn't mean we have to accept everything. I mean, that's one meme people were putting out there where it was like 2008. Hey, look, just because two people who love each other want to get married doesn't mean they're going to go bang in the Senate floor or something like that. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Let's grab some more super chats. Wyatt Caldenberg says, Owen, how did the prison guards treat you? Did they see you as a political prisoner, or did they see you as an enemy of the state?
So there was a little bit of a mixed reaction. Some of them knew who I was before I even got in there and liked me. Some of them knew who I was before I got in there and didn't like me, but that was a lot smaller of a number. By day 10, pretty much everybody in there knew who I was and had an opinion one way or the other. The amount of times I heard, I'm just doing my job, like, hey, I love you and what you do, but I'm just doing my job, is far too many to count. Unfortunately, so, here's where this is why it's not necessarily about me. The treatment that I received in prison is what most people in prison experience at some time or in some way, shape, or form. But because I'm blessed with a large following and a large platform, you're just hearing about what I went through. My story, the solitary. There's all kinds of stories I go to. They stole or lost all my property. Just all the craziness. And by the way, I'm writing a book about all this. It'll probably come out next year. All the crap that I went through, just generally speaking, a lot of the treatment of prisoners is you're just a number. You're not a human. Nobody gives a crap about you. Nobody on the inside gives a crap about you. Nobody on the outside gives a crap about you. We can do whatever the hell we want to you, and none of it matters. But because I have a large platform and a large following, a lot of what I had to go through and I experienced is actually coming out and making it to the front. So, I mean, really, just generally speaking, prisoners are not treated with much respect or dignity at all. And we're talking about nonviolent criminals. We're talking about victimless crime criminals. We're talking about people who have families waiting for them at home. They really are just treated with very little respect and dignity. And so it's really a sad thing. And that's not even a political thing about me. I mean, there were definitely probably some people in there that didn't like my politics and maybe wanted to make it as hard on me as possible, but it was kind of few and far between. Generally speaking, prisoners are disrespected. And look, if you're a high level prisoner and you killed or raped somebody, then you know what? I'm not really shedding a tear for you, or you're a child molester or stuff like that. I'm not really shedding a tear for those people, but it's just amazing how you're completely discounted as a human, and any human emotions or feelings that you might have as a prisoner, just completely discounted. And they treat you like you need to just be numb to all this, and you just have to accept that you're a prisoner and you're going to be treated like this. So, my treatment had a bunch of curveballs and knuckleballs, but really for my 47 days, I just experienced everything. Somehow I just experienced everything that prisoners experience every day. And so the larger story isn't really about me. It's that we desperately need prison reform. I mean, it's desperate. A lot of the higher ups at these prisons. I'll close it like this. There's 3 types of people that work at prisons. There's the incompetent and inept people, the stereotype of they just snap on the job. And then there's the power trippers. And anytime they get a chance to just trip on their power and just put you in your place and feel good about themselves, they're going to do it every time and then some. And then there's the friendlies. If you respect them, they're going to respect you. But just generally speaking, my story is one thing, but prisoners, a lot of these prisoners, nonviolent criminals, victimless crime criminals, they're treated like subhumans. They're disrespected. They're discounted. They barely even get a scrap of dignity the way they're treated in there. And so it's not just about me. It's a story that I'm going to have to tell my story, but it's really what goes on in these prisons every day.
I just have to take a screenshot real quick of this tweet. So it's my tweet saying, was he the guy getting effed in the A, or was he the guy effing some other guy in the A? And then everyone started saying like, oh, blah, 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 Tim. And I said, well, it matters because we need to know if that's him on camera or if he's filming. Then if he's filming, how do we determine it was him? We don't want to falsely accuse someone of, I'm keeping the language light. It's not what I tweeted. Effing a guy in the A on the Senate hearing room floor. The rabbit hole said, never deleting this app, rated X for everyone, and Elon Musk liked it and laughed at it. So I'm just going to have to retweet that real quick.
Rated X for everyone.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally worth it. X is the place to be.
Imagine if it's the guy who's receiving, who invites his buddy in, and then he films it and destroys his life. And he's like, man, why'd you have to do this to me?
Yeah, if he didn't know he was being recorded.
That'd
be crazy.
I mean, not justifying the behavior, obviously. I'm just talking from that level, at a personal level, it's like, damn, dude, you really had to film me? Like, I didn't even know you were doing that. Now I'm all over the internet. Well, I guess that's what you get. Karma's a bitch.
All right. The Yeti 90 says, if the DOJ and police would do their job, all the corrupt politicians and LEOs would be legally arrested. And if they were, they wouldn't have to worry about being fired or losing money. Trump Vivek 2024.
I'd rather build a system that like disallows corruption than try and like whack-a-mole all the corruption when it pops up. If we can build like less corruptible systems, that'd be nice. I don't know if you'll ever be able to stop corruption if it's potential, if it's available.
So what do you think? Just shut down the systems?
Well, no, I like smart contracts. Like if instead of like just relying on 450 representatives, if each of those 700,000 people, they each have one representative, could like vote on a smart contract, yes or no, and then that would go to a system, and then that one that thing would go yes or no. So you don't have these representatives that get bribed. You would remove that corruption source from the system. That could be one potential minor solution in some way.
I'd say just shut down all these corrupt federal operations. Just shut them all down.
I think the biggest problem is those guards you mentioned who are like, hey man, I'm just doing my job. That is, if I was gonna say like on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is it's not really a problem at all, things are pretty good, and 10 is it's the worst problem our society faces, those guards are a 10. You can talk about like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and all that, and those are like 7, 8s, and 9s to varying degrees, like big problems for our society. But the only reason any of it exists is because good men do nothing.
Yeah, and I think if we're looking, okay, so what's the scenario? What's the outcome that we would be looking for? They should have just released me day one.
Imagine if every prison guard went to their boss and said, I will not do any work related to Owen Shroyer. Good luck. And every single guard was just like, I ain't going anywhere near it.
Or they just said, we're not going to process him. We're not going to throw him in. And then if the federal government puts out a warrant, they just say, no, we're not going to arrest him.
Well, I mean, so you end up showing up and you're standing there being like, tell me what to do. And all the guards are like, nope, we're on strike. What would they do? They could do nothing.
Hire
But the problem is,
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means, call in people who will do it. Fine. But these spineless cowards who are like, I like what you do and I believe in you and you're right. And now I'm going to facilitate the evil of this nation while staring you in the eyes. Talk about fucking scumbags. Dude, I'm sorry, man. Anybody who tries playing that I'm just doing my job game to me, you are the most despicable, disgusting cretin.
It's the ethos of what the Nazis did. My whole life I was told that. They were like, all these Nazi soldiers were just like, I'm just following orders. I'm just following orders. And they knew what they were doing was amoral, but they're like, I'm just following orders. I'm not saying all of them, but there were a lot of them that said that.
All of the people.
So I learned early, that was my, yeah.
All of those people saying I'm just doing my job are lifting up the corrupt and the evil and bearing their weight so they can destroy this country. And then everyone says, yeah, but they've got families and they've got kids. It's really, really difficult. And I'm like, I get it. Your family is more important than the future your children will have. It's more important than being the hero who's going to fight to do something good. Totally understand. You've made your priorities clear. I can't say anything about it. I don't have kids.
Well, Tim, I'm glad that you showed the emotion on this topic, because it's really something that's hard to encapsulate, especially when I've dealt with it so many times. The first time when they arrested me and they all knew it was wrong, they knew it was wrong. And they said, I'm sorry, but I'm just doing my job. The second time they arrested me and they knew it was wrong. Sorry, I'm just doing my job. The third time, like you're saying, when I'm going, even some of the FBI guys that came and were dealing with my indictment said, sorry, I'm just doing my job. I've had to, you say it, when you're staring it in the face and that actually happens to you, it's impossible to explain. I mean, it really is.
You want to know why on this scale?
Surreal.
Epstein is a 9 and those cops are a 10? Because if those cops didn't exist, Epstein would have been dealt with instantly.
Yep.
Think about the level of government involvement in what Epstein was doing, where they had to protect him. You know, it's a fact with those flights, and look, you've got presidents flying on those planes. Secret Service is involved, and those Secret Service guys are like, "Well, I know what's going on, but I'm just doing my job." Yep. Those guys are the problem.
Children came to the FBI in the 1990s and talked about what Epstein was doing. The FBI ignored them.
Yep.
Let's not forget about the
just
media.
Doing their job.
Let's not forget about the media's role in this. Amy Robach at ABC, hot tape. Oh, I was going to bring up the Clinton Epstein story, but they told me not to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Well, guess what? Now she's gotten all the promotion. She's on the big daytime show. She's making more money than ever
I thought
before.
she got fired because she was dating that guy.
They did have some fallout. I guess one of them was cheating on their spouse or whatever.
No, I don't think they were cheating. I think they were just in a relationship and they were co-anchors or whatever, and it was a scandal.
Some people are saying she released it deliberately.
Right.
The
right.
ABC hot tape?
That she's the one who leaked it.
Because the story should have gotten out and she helped it get out that way.
Well, the point is the media was covering it up too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, they were promoting Epstein. They were saying he's a great guy.
All the stories they wrote about him.
I'm not so mad at her. I got to be honest, because she's on camera being like, they stopped me. I was trying to do it. And it's a 50-50 situation where it's like, well, you should have still done something. But maybe she was the one who leaked it. I don't know. It's different if she said something like, so I helped them cover it up. Then I'd be like, okay, she's evil. But she didn't. She said she wanted to get it out. And she had the story and she's pissed. They suppressed it on her. And then, shout out to James O'Keefe for doing the hard work.
We have the shirt. It is out. Do you want to see it? We can't show it. Here we go. We can't show it
Wait
to
a
anyone.
second. How did they get this angle?
Listen, my team works very hard.
Okay.
My team.
That's the best question.
There we go.
My team works very hard. We have the shirt is out.
Here. Do you want to purify your eyes? Here's a calendar of hot chicks. If you need to purify your eyes.
Wait, what?
Is this true?
How did they get this angle?
Listen,
Right?
my
That's
team.
what I'm saying.
I have the best team out there, the bestpoliticalshirts.com. Shouts out to everyone, including Josh.
Jesus.
Look at Ian's face. Put Ian's face on there. This is now available for everyone to wear right now on the bestpoliticalshirts.com. I'm buying mine right now. And thank you, because you do, and you support my independent media organization too at the same time. So appreciate you guys.
If we lived in a world where I'll give this shout out to Matt Walsh, and I think Matt would agree. If we lived in a world where men of conscience refused to do immoral acts, that satanic statue wouldn't even be in the Capitol building, because all it takes is for the people working there to say, "I'm not going to do that. I am not going. We need you to come in and work security. They're going to be setting up a satanic statue. No, I won't show up. Have a nice day."
No.
Instead, it's like, "You got it, boss. Hey, man, I don't like it, but I'm just doing my job."
Well, this is why we call them Luke will feel me on this. Why we call them, especially the enforcers, the teeth, right, of the state. So you mentioned Pelosi, or we talk about AOC or whoever it is. At the end of the day, the guys that are going to be front lines, and the first conflict it is that you are going to have is with the police. There's just no matter what the conflict it is, that's going to be the first line of defense. And if they were on their stuff, let's just say that, and they actually believed they were serving and protecting the individuals within this geographical area, they would just simply say no. And again, I mean, this isn't my quote, but the old quote is, Tom was talking about this. It's like, hey, they talk about doing their jobs, right? And I guess the answer to that is maybe you shouldn't.
Exactly.
Sparks says, Tim, if Disney signed a $100 million deal with X, would you also call that a, quote, win? That one's a bit more tough, because Disney was already advertising on X, so there's nothing. There's no rectifying anything. I would call it a win. Would I call it absolute victory or anything like that? Well, I don't know about that. I'd say winning doesn't mean you won the war. Sometimes you win the battles, and sometimes you make small gains. So if there's a major there's a major battlefield with the Confederates and the Union soldiers, and the Confederates, open fire and take out a commander, would you call that a win? Well, like in the colloquial sense of like it was good for them at the time. It doesn't mean they won the battle. Then the Union comes in and crushes them. You know what I mean? But my point is simply, did you guys see what Sean Strickland tweeted out today?
No, I have not.
He said,
Can you tell us?
Yeah, let me read it.
Can you tell us?
I can, absolutely. I can absolutely read this one.
Sean was family friendly this time?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Let me scroll down here and find the tweets. I retweeted it.
Don't you love how the realest men in America in sports are all in MMA? Like,
of course.
That's not by chance.
That's why I'm saying it's good they're getting money. Sean Strickland said, unpopular opinion, January 6th was the most patriotic thing our country has done in a very long time. To which I responded, thank you, Bud Light, for sponsoring this message.
Do they sponsor him or something?
They sponsor UFC.
Oh, okay.
And he's a champion, so that money goes to him. And when he's made political statements in the past, he said, brought to you by Bud Light, in some manner of speaking. So, like,
I tell you,
let's roll, baby.
A foreign multinational company, I don't think that they would be that upset watching the U.S. tear itself apart. So maybe they are getting what they want out of it. I don't know. My
point is, he keeps spitting on the left, and so far Bud Light has done, Anheuser-Busch has said and done nothing. They just keep letting him do it. And so hey, look, man, keep boycotting. Everything else aside, can we at least enjoy that? Like, we can all agree.
Well, I'll tell you this.
It's fun.
Because even though InBev, which is based in Belgium, bought Anheuser-Busch, I guess it was like 10 years ago or so now, a lot of the creative decisions still come out of St. Louis, Missouri, my hometown. So I still know a lot of people in that process. I wouldn't say there's a civil war within, Bud Light or their marketing team, but let's just say there's like your hard conservative wing inside, and then there's like, oh, we got to cater to the left for all these marketing purposes inside. And they're kind of always like showing each other numbers and saying, look, you were miserable over here, or look, we should have done this. So it's kind of a back and forth with all of it. So it doesn't surprise me that Bud Light, when they see this stuff, they're like, let them go. We're not touching this. We already suffered $1 billion market cap with that, gay tranny, whatever.
All right, let's, here we go. What is this one? Where are we at? Taking Back Toxic says, the statue is a red herring. Why is there even a government building for it to be inside in the first place? Afuera!
Afuera.
Afuera, indeed.
Damn right.
Why was there a government building for it to be inside in the first place?
Because walls, they protect you from arrows. I don't know. Why did they build walls in the first place? Because rain. You got to protect yourself from the elements.
All right. Oh, we got a stink bug. He's chilling. What's he doing?
He's been hanging out all the time. He's your government probe.
See you later, Stinky.
And he's strong.
Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
That's a government stink bug.
It's a brown marmorated stink bug introduced into the United States.
Hey, come on, Tim. He's just trying to do his job.
In about 1996.
They're from China.
He's just doing his job, man.
He can't even get up.
All right. Let's we grab one
tortured.
He can't get up like a turtle.
Alien Robot Go says, if you have $1 million today or $10 million in 5 years, which would you choose? Well, that's a long, complicated question, but I'd suppose, of course, today.
I can't watch
$10 million is $10 million in 5 years is just basically toilet paper.
Yeah,
based on the way this country is going.
If you know how to invest that money, now would be the time.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, but more importantly, everyone, go to thebestsongever.com, download the song at 69 cents. You'll get 35% off all castbrew.com purchases, and you are helping Jeremy Boring, Michael Knowles, me, the Timcast crew, chart on Billboard. And our hope is that, by teaming up, we can crack the Hot 100. I'm not so sure. We'll see if we can pull it off next week. It's a holiday season, so we'll see if it works out. But ultimately, it's a similar campaign to what we had, the first time around. We are trying to force them to acknowledge that we drive sales. We have an impact, and we have a bigger impact than many other artists who struggle to even get anywhere where we are. I'll tell you this. Right now, Forward Facing, the music video has like 200 and some odd K. That's bigger than many mainstream signed bands already. And they keep just telling us to screw ourselves. So we're just going to keep pushing. But again, thebestsongever.com. Owen, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, please follow me. I'm back on Twitter. I got released from jail, and then I got released from the Twitter jail right afterwards. It was great. So my personal account is back at All I Do Is Owen. And then for my political media, we share stuff like this, clips from this show that I'm on, Timcast. The clips we'll put there at Owen Shroyer 1776. But the big show, the big platform, 3 hours a day, 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays at band.video/war room, or the easier link might be owenshroyer.show. And then I do a Rumble show as well on my own. We have a little fun. We loosened it up a little bit. Rumble.com/Owen. Great to be back here, Tim. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, just go to rippaverse.com. We're smack dab in the middle of a campaign for you guys that want to get into comics. You want an alternative. Go to rippaverse.com. Alpha Core #1 is the campaign we're in right now. It's wrote by the legendary Chuck Dixon. You know him as the creator of Bane. He did a lot of DC comic stuff all throughout the 90s, all the Bat Family stuff. Well, he's the writer here, as well as Joe Bennett being the artist. It's a little police procedural with superhero elements. If you're into that, right now we're at like almost $1.2 million on this campaign. Orders are already going out since we started fulfillment early last week. So just go to rippaverse.com and you'll check it out there. But man, it does feel good to be back here, man. I appreciate you having me. I've been here all day.
Right on.
Yeah, this was a great show. Thank you so much for everyone being here. Owen, it's great that you're not in jail anymore. So thank you so much for joining us. You could send me your love letters on youtube.com/wearechange. And then my web guy just messaged me. He's like, we're getting hit with some attacks from Australia and IPs. So it looks like thebestpoliticalshirts.com is down for now. I'm going to be posting alternative links on Twitter as well at Luke We Are Change. So if you want to see the salacious, very perfect shirt for family gatherings and this holiday season, Christmas is coming up. This is the gift you get your crazy uncle, or if you're the crazy uncle, you got to wear it. We can't show it to you here on Twitter at Luke We Are Change. I'm going to let you know when the DDoS attacks stop on my websites, and then we'll be able to purchase the shirts and support my independent media organization.
We're at a period in time right now where you have a lot of power, like a lot of power, and you can do a lot of good and work within your community to strengthen your bonds, your friendships, your family, forgive people that have hurt you in the past. Now's the time. And we can move forward and transition this whole world into something new and really cool. And we could do it together, one-on-one, one by one. And thanks again, Tim, for throwing that party earlier. We had a wonderful Christmas party, company Christmas party. It was super cool. Shout out to the Gamer Maids on YouTube. And I will be seeing you guys at Turning Point USA coming up.
Shout out to Dutch's Daughter. It's a restaurant in the Western Maryland area, and it's amazing. And that's where we got the catering for the party, and everybody just annihilated all the food.
Yeah, thank you for that. The steaks were really awesome.
The steaks were amazing.
I was so hungry when I landed, too. It was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the crab kick.
And we're doing a show with Tucker Carlson Monday.
Awesome. Super pumped.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing you guys. Is it behind a paywall or is it on YouTube?
No, it's on YouTube.
Awesome. So
yeah, it's Amfest.
We'll be seeing you guys bright and early Monday night.
Is that where you guys are going after this?
Yeah. We're flying out. So we fly out Sunday. We're there just for the one day, and then we fly immediately right back.
I wasn't allowed to. Probation didn't allow me to go. They allowed me to come here, though. They allowed me. They did allow. My probation officer allowed me to come here because technically I organized this before I met with him. So, but after that, I'm locked down.
Shout out to the people that are working that out, man, because it's super cool to have you, dude. I'm glad you came.
Thanks for coming out.
Great to see you,
man.
And we also have this guy to the right.
Yeah, great show, gents. That was fun. Appreciate you guys both being here. Glad to see you out, Owen. And hope you guys enjoyed the show. Friday shows, not normally that spicy, but today was
what
wild.
A wild news story to lead things off.
Yeah. See you on the Discord. I'm Serge.com. You know where I'm at.
We will see you all on Monday. Tucker Carlson will be joining us at Amfest. We're super excited. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all then.
Cheers.